What's happening, everybody? Appreciate you guys joining me on this Sunday. Severe's going to be with us just a second, but let me know. Let me know if you guys are watching this Rams-Chicago game. The throw that Caleb Williams just pulled off, I think it went to it went to Komet. I think Komet was the recipient of that wild throw. Let me know if you guys are watching this. This is a wild game. Looks like it's going to be 17-17. Not sure if they completed the field goal, but this is a wild game. Looks like it might go into overtime. Oh, yeah, they completed the field goal. It's overtime. It's crazy. It is crazy, man. Shout out to everybody. Severe's going to be with us in just a minute. Chris might be joining us a little bit later, but we're going to go over a lot of topics. One, we're going to talk about what we just kind of what went down the last couple of days when it comes to head coaching news. You can add a couple more names to the list. I went live on Friday, kind of give you my just take on some of those names, but I'm going to kind of repeat that process, but also kind of get Severe on here, kind of get his take as well. And at the same time, we're going to talk about some of these games. Obviously, we had 2 games yesterday. We had 2 games today, finishing up this Rams-Chicago game. I'm watching it just right above me. And then we're going to talk about a little bit about the free agents that we had this past season that are going to head to free agency. I'm going to bring up the names. And one of the questions is are there free agents that we want to potentially bring back? The reason why you might want to bring some of the names back is not because they balled out, not because they did, just amazing for us, but you don't want to go into the draft with so many holes, right? And so are there names that you could bring in that will basically be sufficient for next year and play good enough, so you don't have so many holes to fill in the draft? And so we're going to go through all the names, kind of get your feedback as to who you want to prioritize. Who do you think we should bring back? Because, man, based on that Patriots game, there's a ton of names that we let go, whether it be Robert Spillane, Caleb Von Chason. We let some of those names go, and I think a lot of us kind of regret it. I definitely do. Spillane and Caleb Von Chason were 2 names that I wanted us to potentially bring back, but we see what they're doing over there. So, man, this overtime game is going to be wild, but I definitely appreciate everybody rocking with me. I want to kick this thing off, right? I wanted to kind of bore you guys just for a second so that I could bring in somebody else into the mix. Let's pop them in. What up, big dog? Hey, I warmed everybody up for you. That's what I did. That's just what I tried to do, man. What's going on, Severe? What's happening, man?
What's going on, man? Nothing much, man. Just eager to see what we do with this head coaching job.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk a little bit about Miami, Indiana tomorrow. Obviously, with Fernando Mendoza, everybody's going to kind of have their eyes on him. We also have reports that both Tom Brady and Johnspytek, they're going to be out there. And they're going to be bringing, I think they've requested some head coaches to potentially be out there to interview, meet them out there. And so we're going to talk about some of the other head coaches. We're going to talk about our free agents coming in. Then we're going to leave it up to the chat afterwards. They got some questions. We'll kind of do a back and forth and have a little bit of fun. But maybe we'll lead off with this game going on, which is wild. Maybe we'll lead off with some of the playoff games that have gone on. We'll chop it up about that real briefly. But we'll say what's up to the chat. Robert Pena in the building. What's going on, man? Troy Gill, what's going on, man? I sent a message into the chat, man. Email me if you haven't already at realraider805@gmail.com. Email me, man. I definitely want to get back to you. So do me a favor, and let me know if you have already, and it's just hit my spam, and I got to look at it. But let me know. Keith, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking. Isaiah in the building as well. What's happening? We got Mark. What's going on, man? Brimblood. What's happening? Dominique pulling up. Good seeing you, brother. Got Joe Rowe in the building. I saw Mumford balling. I was watching the game, and I think Jeff and those guys were live, and I saw Thayer Mumford jump in there. And I think I might have – I don't know if I put in their chat, and I was like, man, did we see a Sweet Feet sighting? He did jump out there. It was good to see him rocking. What up, Dre? What's going on, brother? Okay, Troy. Okay, you sent 2 emails. I'm going to double check. I appreciate you, man. I'm going to get back to you. I'll check my spam as well. So, Sweet Feet out there making moves. Yes, he was. So appreciate everybody. Rock and do us a massive favor. Double tap that screen. Just hit that like button, hit that sub button if you want to get included in the chat. You got the Severe Raider. I'm 805 Raider, Real Talk Raider Nation. My channel is, Real Talk Raider Nation. Appreciate everybody popping in here. So we're going to let this kind of game play out, man. It was a wild one, but let's talk a little bit about the games. I mean, yesterday we had Broncos, Bills. I think it was a wild one. I think that game It was actually me and a couple of my buddies had a little bit of parlay action, and we were talking about all the games. I said, this is one game that, as much as everybody was saying like it could go under, people thought the Broncos offense really wasn't going to do too much, but then you got the Broncos defense that obviously one of the best in the league, and with all the receivers hurt and out for the Bills, it was almost like the under was the bet.
Yeah.
But to me, I felt like I can't bet the under when Josh Allen was playing. I don't even, and plus I kind of know Vegas at the same time. Vegas will get you.
Yeah.
So a hell of a game. Went to overtime. Broncos obviously win it, and man, you could hate the Broncos, you could hate all the division rivals, but to see Bo Nix go down, breaking his ankle, taking a knee is wild. That sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks to see.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, right? So, Severe, man, thoughts on the game, and then we'll talk. We'll chop it about the rest of it. But thoughts on that game?
Yeah, man, it was a really good game, and obviously, the Bills. I mean, it's one of the situations where like everything was kind of lined up for the Bills. Like his kryptonites weren't in the playoffs. It's no Burrow, no Mahomes. He doesn't have to deal with Lamar. So like it was looking like, okay, you know what, Josh Allen, if you're ever going to do it, if you're ever going to get to a Super Bowl, if you're going to get to another AFC title game, like this is the year to do it, because your rivals, they aren't there. Like, it's like none of these quarterbacks in especially on the AFC side, like none of them are really like guys, right? You got, like none of them. So, like this was his opportunity, and obviously he just turned the ball over repeatedly. Just questionable ball handling, questionable coaching decisions by McDermott.
It might have been that first fumble where he just kind of had the ball flailing out there and he fumbled, and it was just like, Jesus Christ, man. Veteran, you got to be better than that.
The one before the half, they ended up losing by 3. Obviously the one before the half where they, it's a 10-point, like they scored 10 points in like 42 seconds. Like he's out there lollygagging with the ball. It's like, like you got to have better ball security in those situations. Sean McDermott, this is one of the situations. I know you have Josh Allen. You have all the faith in the world in what he can do, but it made this a situation where, let's just take this team to the half, regroup, and come back out in the second half. Obviously, they didn't do that, and it cost themselves points. And then what everybody's talking about is that interception call. I personally, when I saw it, I thought it was a bad call. Usually, tie goes to the receiver. That's what it used to be. Yeah. Now, maybe since they have the new rule where you have to like survive the ground and complete the process of the catch, maybe they didn't count that as completing the process of the catch. But it looked like he was on the ground. He had been contacted. He had control of the ball. In my opinion, that's a catch. But, it is what it is now.
That was my thought, right? If both of them have technically possession, or it's a shared possession, when you hit the ground, you're technically down. So you can't grab the ball as you're already down. You're kind of rolling over with the ball in the hand. The receiver's already down. So I think it was that was a rough call, and I think McDermott definitely, without question, kind of said his piece in the presser afterwards. Honestly, it's I agree with you, right? If Josh Allen was going to do it, this was the time to do it. It sucks that he had injuries to the offense. He didn't have too many weapons. It was tough, but honestly, was it Shakir?
Khalil Shakir?
Yeah. But he's been kind of his number one. You know what I'm saying? And so he still kind of had his number one, obviously, with James Cook being that second best or the best threat on that offense outside of Josh Allen. It's like he still had the weapons. Yeah. But even then, you saw on the Broncos side, the Broncos, two of Bo Nix's targets are out.
Yeah.
Franklin, Troy Franklin was out, and then Higgins.
Oh yeah.
Or no, not Pat Bryant.
Brett, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he lost 2 of his weapons. Obviously, he still had his number 1 receiver out there,
Cortland Sutton.
So it's like if it was going to happen for him, I think that was the moment it needed to happen. And unfortunately, turnovers just plagued them, and it was rough. So you basically have that one, and that was tough and shit. What was the late game? It was the 49ers. Seahawks 49ers. Yeah. Now we're gonna get into that one, but Severe, I got the first comment. If you want to say what's up to everybody else in the comment, I got starting at LS.
Where were we at with it? Dog, yeah, that's Caleb Williams just made one of the best throws I've ever seen. Yeah, man, Caleb Williams. Like that was that year I had Caleb Williams as my QB3, and it was based simply off could he be a leader of men and could he play within structure. It wasn't like a talent issue. Like his talent is like off the charts, but his mental fortitude, his presence in the locker room, could he be a leader? And I think getting with a guy like Ben Johnson, who was a no-nonsense guy, from what I hear, he runs like a very tight ship. I think that's kind of the best thing to have happened to Caleb, obviously. And I think, that's kind of brought out the best in Caleb, because it's like everywhere else, he's been able to do what the hell he wants to because he's Caleb Williams. And now he gets with a guy that, I don't care who you are. Like I'm the hot girl in school. It's not about you, it's about me. And getting with a guy like that is going to run a tight ship. I think that's the best thing for him. And we see the production very close to being the first Bills quarterback ever to throw for 4,000 yards this year. So, big up to them guys.
Well, and to that point, Caleb Williams, you see that throw that they score the touchdown, gets them into overtime, right? Honestly, that's when you're talking about, and I'm just pointing this out, it's not to like spark up the argument, but
yeah, all right.
When you're picking somebody number one overall, like that was the opposite when it comes to my question marks with Mendoza, right? And it's not necessarily a question. It's basically just how much can he do it consistently in the NFL. Is Caleb Williams, one of the criticisms was his mental capacity, right? He did the whole like painting his fingernails, the FU stuff to Utah, and I get that, right? And
crying on the field multiple times.
So it's like the maturity aspect, I understand, right? But there was no question his skill set, like his ability to work outside of structure, him being able to work off platform throws, stuff like that. Like there was no question that he was going to be able to do that. But can you work him inside of structure, which was a big question mark, right? Where to me, I feel like it's a complete opposite of Mendoza. Right. You see moments. Again, I always point back to that Michigan State game. That Michigan State game was probably the best example of what he could possibly do. I just need to see more of it. And so can Mendoza work out of structure like that throw Caleb Williams just made? Like that was a nasty throw outside of structure. He created, it was all him. And it was the ball placement. He threw, that was a perfect example. He threw Cole Kmet open on that. Exactly. Cole Kmet is basically trying to get to the back of get across the goal line. He threw it to the back part of that end zone, which Cole Kmet had to adjust, and he adjusted away from the defender. That's called throwing somebody open.
Exactly.
And Fernando Mendoza, I'm not saying he can't do it. He's just not forced to do it because his receivers are so damn good. And so the question is, can he do it at an elite level? Because if you pick him number one overall, you want to see the package. You want to see everything. Yeah. And so that's a damn good example of it's worth the risk with Caleb Williams because of everything he brings to the table.
From a talent standpoint,
So all right. Keep going. My bad.
D-Mokes, I hope the Bears win because Devontae Adams.
There's still so much hate.
My guy, Raider Hawaii, what a weekend of football. Yeah, man, it's a good weekend of football, man. Some really good games. Really good games. Salute Joel 916. Got Raider Paul Raiders. Got 831 Raiders. Salute to you as well. John Parker, USC all the way, a Heisman Trophy winner. Chicago getting this one in overtime. We'll see. We'll see.
I mean, it's still 17-17. I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Bears got the ball.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you as well, my guy, Daniel Barris, Sports Highlights. Federal 510. Salute to you, brother. And the real DC. Gentlemen, right back at you, brother. Right back at you.
We're going to go, let's pop into, we got 831 Raider. You want to talk about McDaniels? We're going to talk about that in just a second. You also got Keith. Coach is buzzing. Hey, there's a lot of talk. You know what I'm saying?
Coaching buzz is crazy right now.
Let's talk about just one coach that we had underperformance. You got the Seattle game yesterday. Let's talk about that. Guys, chat, let us know what your thoughts are on the Seattle game. I know a lot of people are high on Clinton Kubiak, and I think what Clinton Kubiak kind of showed yesterday, don't get me wrong, beat up 49er defense, which is tough, right? But to perform the way you're supposed to is very impressive. And so Chat, let us know what your thoughts are of that 49er game. Are you a Clint Kubiak fan? Do you think Clint Kubiak should be at the top of the list, high on the list? What are your thoughts if we do bring in Clint Kubiak? Real quick, I'm severe. I'm going to throw it to you. Get your response on that. But Herman, what's going on, brother? In the building, you're saying, are we getting the Cal Mendoza? Because we're far from a complete team like Cal. We're far from a complete team like Indiana.
Yeah, that's what he means. Sure. He means like Cal was far from a complete team, and we're much like that Cal team. I think.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
I think that's what he's saying. And Fernando Mendoza, under those parameters, was a different player. It wasn't a bad player. He just wasn't. We got to take him number one. You know, it was okay. No, this guy has some talent and has some size. Let's, I like how he throws the ball. Let's see what he can do. He was that guy last year, and it gives to Indiana, obviously, with all the talent around him. Obviously, we see what Kirk Cignetti has been doing, and he's a totally different player. So you weren't worried about, are you getting the Cal Mendoza or are you getting the Indiana Mendoza? And I think the Cal Mendoza can still turn into a good pro, but the Indiana Mendoza is a totally different kind of beast. So that's the question that remains to be seen. And if our scouts are doing their job, then that hopefully they'll uncover something that leads them to the answer to that question. But yeah, just in terms of what I saw, Clint Kubiak, I don't want to take anything away from that performance because they ran the ball very effectively. They basically, and what's tough is that right out the gate, they kicked the 49ers right in the mouth because Rashid Shaheed took that to the house, and that just immediately you feel you start to press. Because, obviously a big part of their offense is Christian McCaffrey. And, when you got a guy that out the gate, you're down 7 and your defense doesn't even touch the field. And now you got to play right into kind of the hands of what, Seattle kind of wants you to do is they want to get you down, force you to throw. They have some of the best cover guys in the league. They got Devin Witherspoon, Emory Bryant out there. Then they got Byron Murphy wreaking havoc and Big Cat also wreaking havoc in the middle. So it's like, that's what they want you to do. They want to get you down, force you to throw, and then just let our cover guys do their thing. And then, let our front four do their thing as well. So, but Clint Kubiak, he did a good job. The thing I worry about Clint Kubiak is he a leader of men? Is he because we've had guys before, like I compare Clint Kubiak to the offensive version of Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen is a fantastic defensive coordinator, as displayed by what he's doing to this Rams offense that's chock full of talent. But can he be the head guy? Because as a defensive coordinator, he's going to scheme it up. He's going to do things that is going to cause confusion, wreak havoc. He's going to put together a good defense. But can he be the head guy? And that remains to be seen. And from what I've seen from Clint Kubiak, I don't know if he has the charisma or the gravitas or the je ne sais quoi, the savoir faire, whatever you want to say. I don't know if he has that factor to him. And and that remains to be seen because early on, Nick Sirianni didn't look like he had it. And there were some questions about Liam Cohen.
That press conference that he had when he was introduced as the head coach.
Awkward.
I think
very awkward. Ben Johnson, the same thing. It was awkward. Nick and Liam Cohen, same thing. It was awkward. So, you can't put it all on pressers and what they do with the media. But, that question remains for me. And I got told my guys, for me, he's probably like 4th-ish, 5th-ish on the list. There's some other guys that are climbing. There's some other guys that, as I've done some research and looked into these guys, I'm like, yo, these are some guys. These are some guys that I became more interested in. And I know we'll get into that later.
Yeah, no, go back, Dave. You're saying Kelb just threw the INT. Keith, INT, I saw that. And I think if you look at the replay, it's like miscommunication between him and Moore, where I think Caleb tried to throw him a little bit flatter, where Moore was trying to go deeper with the corner, and I think it was just miscommunication. So that sucks. Rams got the football right now, and they're driving. With Devontae Adams getting a catch.
That means if they score, it's a wrap.
And I think it's just a field goal. That's all they need, right? They don't need a touchdown.
No, if they both possess the ball, they know all they need is
it's just a field goal.
Yeah.
So and then they're driving. So, Jerry, you're saying Kubiak 1A and LaFleur 1B, and
LaFleur's my number one. Like
so, Severe, do you like your point, right? trying to understand if Clint Kubiak could be a leader of men, which I agree. I think it's a question mark with any quarter or coach that hasn't taken the reins before, right? Yeah. So with Clint Kubiak, it's trying to figure out, okay, yeah, can you be the leader of men? Actually, before we go into that, like when it comes to the performance, the offensive performance of the Seattle, right? I do think you can't take anything away from the fact that 49er defense was so banged up. And Kubiak did what he's supposed to do. You control the clock, you run the ball, and the running game just excelled.
Kenneth Walker. And this is the thing I told my guy. I told my guys, like, they talked about it on the telecast. They said, like, I think his time from getting the handoff to the line of scrimmage was, like, I think the fastest in the league, and let you know he's decisive. And it's not a pity pat. I'm going to stop my feet. Let me dance around this. I'm getting the ball. I'm making a move. I'm going 1,000 miles an hour. And sometimes that can work to your disadvantage, but just being decisive, a lot of times it's going to work to your advantage.
Yeah. But the good thing is it's a question mark on who could be the true leader of men when they haven't been on that stage yet as a head coach. The one thing that I do like is the fact that what we're seeing right now is obviously Clint Kubiak is the leader of that offense. He's the play caller on that offense. And you're not seeing, as much as he's not forced to do it, right? A lot of people are making that comparison. As much as I'm a Clint Kubiak fan, like that's my 1A. Like that is who I want as our head coach. A lot of people are saying that look at what Clint Kubiak is doing with Sam Darnold versus what he did in last year's playoffs. But I think it's very different because Sam Darnold, because of the situation and the situation that Minnesota was in the playoffs, like Sam Darnold had to throw the football. Yesterday, didn't have to throw the football. Like that defense really took over and you could play very tempo football. So it didn't put Kubiak in a situation to where you need to go win it. Sam Darnold, you need to go win it like Sam Darnold was put in last year. So, but just the way that Kubiak is just coordinating, getting it done, making sure that he's putting his offense in the right position, in the right situation to find success, and they're grabbing at it, and they're controlling the moment. I like it. Now, one thing I go back to is just get an understanding of who he is, right? And you mentioned Sirianni's press conference.
Yeah.
I go back and I've actually watched probably about a dozen, maybe close to 15, just kind of press conferences with Clint Kubiak, just to get an idea of who he is. How does he address the media? What's his vibe like? How is his presence at the podium? And I'll be honest, I get a vibe that it doesn't necessarily worry me too much. Now, again, it's only about 12 to maybe 15 different interviews. And so I don't get a vibe like I do of, let's say, Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel gave me a vibe of just like, I question the shit out of this guy, like whether he could be a leader of men. I don't get a vibe either way. I do think that Clint Kubiak does a good job of just being very confident in his answers, being confident in his message to the media. So I think that just helps me, like what he's putting on TV, right? What he's putting up there, I think helps me, and combine that with what you see in his press conferences, I think that he could potentially put it together, and be a leader in that locker room potentially. But it's always a question mark. So, but my question mark with somebody that doesn't necessarily hold the reins and is the captain of that offense, and again, it's like a 1A, 1B, right? Like Michael Flores at my 1B only because he's not running the ship over there. So it's trying to figure out, okay, can he coordinate an offense like McVay's doing? Because what I just found out was, we could talk about the game earlier today. That offensive coordinator over with the Texans.
Yeah.
He's from the McVay tree.
Yeah.
And that offense looked atrocious today. Why the hell he could not just lean on the run game a little bit?
Yeah. They couldn't run the ball, though. They could not run the ball at all.
They couldn't, but the game was so tight.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're just trying to play the field position game, right? And then every time CJ Stroud dropped back to pass, you're holding your breath because you're like, holy shit, it's going to be picked.
He's gonna be, yes.
And so at that point, it's like just
terrible.
Like run the ball, try to and just play the field position game. Like you have the best defense in the National Football League. Just lean on that in horrible weather.
Yeah.
And it just felt like every single time he just wanted to force the ball downfield or at least just get the ball moving in the air. And I'm just sitting there going, man, just play the field position game. Control, just try to play the clock. But he just kept wanting to throw that football, which was wild to me. Which maybe kind of pulls us into the but we'll get into the other games real quick.
The Rams pulled it out 2017.
I think I'm behind just a little bit. My TV buffered for a second. They're about to kick the field goal, so it looks like they make it.
Yeah, they make it. Business. Yeah.
But honestly, shout out to some of the younger quarterbacks getting into at least the second round of playoffs. You know, Caleb Williams getting the second round of playoffs. I mean, trust me, we would be loving the fact that we're in the second round of playoffs with a second-year quarterback.
Yeah.
We'd be loving that for sure.
Yeah.
So, Dre, real quick, we're going to get to the other games, but we're going to talk about some of the coaches. You're saying Indiana Mendoza has his mechanics down. In Cal's mechanics were all over the place. His mechanics are phenomenal.
Yeah, they're great.
They're phenomenal, but I think it's because he has so much comfort behind that offense. It clicks. Everything works in that offense. It allows him to just really be very comfortable with using his mechanics. And so, not to take anything away, but I think he plays so comfortable behind that offensive line that it makes everything look so easy.
Yeah. And
just how does his mechanics continue when he's under pressure, when he's moved off his spot? Now when he has to work out a structure, that's what I'm just sitting there going, man, like how well is that going to translate over to the NFL? Joe, what's going on? Being a Raiders coach is like a part-time job. Severe, you said it. You said a lot. And I know we hate being a revolving door, but I think you can agree. At the end of the day, no matter who we go with, we need to give this head coach a minimum of 3 years,
at least.
No matter, there's no excuse at that point. It's got to be a minimum 3 years.
Yeah, at least. I mean, it has to be, especially if it's one of these young guys. So if we do these young guys like we've been doing, like we did Josh or like we did AP or like we did petecarroll, if we do that to a young guy, bro, it's just hang him up, man. We'll never get another young candidate to come here again. So nothing. Nobody wants to retreads. That'll be all we will ever be able to get if we do another young guy like that. So we got to stick to a program, and we got to see it through. And if at the end of that 3 years we don't see the progress we want to see, all right, conversations need to be had. But we cannot pull the plug on that guy early.
No, we don't. God damn it, LS. I forgot. He's in the building. Got to watch what I say. What up, Kevin Larker? Rams squeaked one out. They did. But hey, shout to them being in Chicago. The weather obviously plays a role. They go in there, and Chicago's it's a tough place to play in that environment. So shout out to them pulling this off.
Yeah. Eddie, it's his brother. His brother Mike. Matt LaFleur is the guy that's been in Green Bay. Mike is the younger brother. He's worked with Kyle Shanahan and he's worked with Sean McVay. So that's the guy. That was my guy before we hired Pete Carroll. That's what I wanted. And he's still my guy now. Still the guy I want now.
So with all the coaching talks, we're going to kind of get into some of the stuff that we heard the last couple of days. Chat, I definitely want to get your guys' feedback. LS, you said, when was the last time we even made to the second round of playoffs?
Yeah.
Yes. Answer?
Yeah.
2002.
Last Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. God damn it, dude. That's wild. What up? Where's the flag? What's going on, man? Dang, that game was nuts. Everybody hit the like button. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you rocking with us. What up, Larry? What's going on, man? Sign Malik Willis and trade down. Building the trenches, plus defense. Brian Flores, head coach. Severe, what's your thoughts on Brian Flores? We're getting to the head coaching talk, everything that kind of went down the last couple of days, but what's your thoughts on that?
Brian Flores is my number 2 guy. And my number 3 guy is a bit of a surprise. And just as I did some research, looked into it. So I looked at the guy before we hired Pierce, I want to say, before he went with Pierce, that around that time when we're looking at coaches, this guy I looked at. But my number 3 guy is a very interesting guy. But yeah, man, Brian Flores, I just think all his concerns, I think they're overblown. I think they're overblown. And I think that's, he was at a tumultuous time with the ownership group that obviously was doing some shady stuff. You know, they had tried the Tom Brady thing, the shady
very
stuff.
Shady.
And then I think they offered him money to lose games on purpose. You know, it's just,
which probably ultimately fire him anyways, which is crazy.
Well, I'm pretty sure that could qualify as like racketeering. So like that's
right.
that's you are like you offered to commit federal crimes, like, you know. So like it's a weird time. So, you know, I think some of the stuff that happened during his tenure there, I think was a reflection of that. But if you hear the guys talk about him now, the guys on his team now, they love him. If you hear about players that play against him, you talk about his scheme. I've heard Purdy, I've heard St. Brown, I've heard like these guys like, man, this dude is like, you don't know what he's going to come out in. Like, he is a menace, and he is hell to prepare for on that side of the ball. And I was talking to somebody else. I was like, man, there's 2 defensive coaches that are going to the conference final or to the conference championship game. One from each conference, right? Obviously, Mike McDonald and and Mike Vrabel being the other. So, you know, if you want to go with a defensive guy, I mean, like, I don't think that should be as taboo. And we see, you know, Mike McDonald, he's been able to do it, have some success with Sam Darnold. We see Vrabel is able to have some success with a young quarterback in Drake May. D'Amico Ryans early on was able to have some success with CJ Stroud right out the gate. Dan Quinn early on had some success with Jaden Daniels. They went to the conference championship last game. So I don't think just because you hire a defensive head coach means you're going to like neglect the development of a young quarterback. And I think that's what a lot of people like assume.
Yeah. So obviously, lean offensive-minded head coach Brian Flores is up there on my list. If we go defensive-minded head coach, Brian Flores is my number 1. You know, I've stated multiple times before, I think he's been far enough removed from the head coaching job where he's kind of learned, even if some of the things are true of what he did back in the day, right? Well, then guess what? You've been at a head coaching job, I think 3 seasons now, I think roughly. And if that's the case, then I think you've had opportunity to kind of learn. You're going to do stuff differently, you know? But I love his experience. I love what he brings to the table. I think he garnishes enough respect amongst the league that he can get a Brian Daboll. He can get a Mike McDaniels if he doesn't get another head coaching job. He can get a good offensive mind in the building to be our offensive coordinator. Yeah. The only tough part about going defensive minded is you look at what Mike McDaniels is going to have to go through. Clint Kubiak is going to be gone. So now it's like what Dan Campbell has gone through. Are they good enough to continue to bring in offensive-minded guys, knowing that if we're successful, you might lose them in 3 years? Yeah, and that's the part that's really tough. And that's why I lean offensive-minded, because if we go quarterback and you want that quarterback, you want to team him up with the offensive mind, a head coach that you can have him for the next 12 to 15 years. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the idea. But I think, and Severe, going to your point, I know I mentioned this, I think when we went live on Wednesday, is I suggest everybody, and maybe we can kind of break down what Brian Flores does on defense just to kind of give people an idea of just how difficult it is to play quarterback in the National Football League. You know, we've had the discussions of top quarterbacks, and look at what's happened to Mahomes. Mahomes, you know, 3-4 years ago was unstoppable through the air. When he had Tyreek Hill, you know, he was consistently throwing for 300 plus yards every single game. But they've had to kind of change it because now defenses are taking the deep ball away. They're forcing you to hit the seams, to hit your checkdowns, hit the timing routes. And if you're not doing it, you're not going to be able to find success in the National Football League. But by them taking away the deep ball, they're now forcing you to methodically move downfield, which means quarterbacks, you're not going to see as many 300-plus yard games. And you see that with Josh Allen. You see it with Patrick Mahomes. And so there's very few quarterbacks that can do it consistently because the way these defenses are disguising. And so when people look at how easy it looks for Mendoza, don't expect it to be this easy, even when you have all the talent around you. Don't expect it to be that easy because defenses are nasty. And if you just look at what Brian Flores does and how he disguises, he can set up in a cover two. It could look like a cover two look, but guess what? He's got 4 different adjustments to it at the snap. Not pre-snap,
exactly.
Post-snap. There's 4 different adjustments that, good luck. If you aren't smart enough to identify it at the snap, they're going to pick you apart all day long.
Yeah.
And so, all this like RPO and all that stuff, it's just not going to be that easy in the National Football League. And it's very easy for Mendoza right now. And just, again, it's just to see how does what you see today translate to the NFL. But I know, Dre, a lot of people don't like the trade back talk. I get it. Well, we're going to talk more quarterback plenty as we kind of get into this. We're going to talk a little bit after the head coaching stuff. What up, DJ?
Yeah.
What's going on, man? LS, surprised nobody's brought up David Shaw yet.
I've never been a David Shaw guy.
I never thought of David Shaw as an NFL coach, even when he was doing good things over Stanford. Again, it's because my take on college coaches, unless you have a good amount of NFL experience, you just kind of jumping in and being a head coach, it's night and day. How you develop, how you talk, how you communicate, how you handle pro versus college. And unless Shaw wants to come in and be a position coach for the next 5 to 6 years, I won't even consider his name. And he's been so far removed from the scene. It's just not a name I would entertain at all at this point. And I think that's probably why his name doesn't get brought up. So, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, same thing. Like, even when he was at Stanford, I never, and I know he has Raider ties, it's in his blood, but I never thought of him as an NFL head coach, and I don't know. I'm not a real big fan of bringing college guys to the pros first and foremost. But he just never struck me as a guy that, he's very, diplomatic, and, he speaks very well. You can tell that he's a very intelligent guy. I think he has the ability to connect with his players. But, when you're playing high level NFL football, I don't know if he has the X's and O's to compete with these guys at this level. And, I think we worry about a defensive head coach, like in his offensive coordinator. I think with David Shaw, you run into a lot of what Dan Campbell's run into, right? Technically, Dan Campbell's an offensive coach. He coached tight ends in Miami. I think he played tight end in the league, and so he was interim head coach for Miami for a little while. So he's an offensive guy, but he's just not an X's and O's guy. He's a CEO type coach. And when you have those kind of guys, you run into those same issues. Except now you could potentially have those issues on both sides of the ball, a la the Lions, who lost their offensive and defensive coordinator in one offseason.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say is, as much as I kind of go back to Brian Flores, if we go defensive, offensive minded, that's what I prefer. But if Brian Flores ended up being the head coach of this team, I'd be stoked. I'd be stoked as shit.
Yeah, we're gonna play.
You know what I'm saying? Just bring the mentality that he's going to bring to the table. Yes, you have that concern if he can bring consistently offensive coordinators in here, but I'd be stoked. And that's definitely a guy you give a minimum of 3 years to figure this out. J-Ro, what do you think about Joe Brady? We're going to get into it in just a second. Lil Dre, you're saying four first-round picks for Mendoza, worth a second and third at best, plus a long snapper. Let's throw one in. Moving over to Miami. What's going on? Appreciate you rocking. LS, y'all think the Eagles would be stupid enough to let Stoutland go? Give that man a blank check.
Nah, they'd be fools. They'd be crazy to do that.
Yeah.
This guy helped turn Jordan Mailata into one of the better left tackles in the league. Well, he can get his hands on Laki Tassi. Oh my god! Oh my god! And Charles Trent Williams Grant being coached by Jeff Stoutland. Come on, man! The league is not going to let that happen.
Damn! Don't Eddie! Don't get him started. LS, don't get him started. Jesus Christ!
Oh my god!
Real quick, Eddie, what happens tomorrow night? Mendoza looks terrible and loses bad to Miami. Then what? Raiders are in the catbird seat for sure. There will be offers for that first pick, no doubt. I'll give you my first take. I don't think he's going to look terrible. I don't think Miami's that good to make him look terrible. but I'm not going to judge one game for the most part.
Exactly.
I I look at the body of work. You know what I'm saying? Now, I just think that if he has a bad game, then I think it might just lower the chances, not by a lot, but might just lower the chances that the Jets come up and give us the 4 first-rounders that a lot of people want to go get the guy. I think that's the only thing that it might do is just lower the chances a little bit. It might open up, them just having a little bit, not leverage, but just a little bit more room to negotiate how much they give us. And so I wouldn't judge it off that one game. I do think that Indiana just they have too much firepower for them to have a horrible game. It could be competitive for sure, and I definitely want to see a competitive game. Severe, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, same thing, man. I'm not going to let one game tell me who he is as a player. You got to do your evaluation, look at complete body of work. He's been a starter, I think, 3 years. So if you look at the 3 years of starting, you don't look at, this one single game and that'll tell you who a guy is, because anybody can have an off day. It's a big game. He's back home, so he's in it could be all kind of distractions because he's going back to where he grew up at. So I'm sure there's a lot of outside stuff going on. Not to mention, I think this might be the best front four he's played yet. So, if he's not used to dealing with the kind of pressure that they may be able to put on him, then that's going to lead to, an off night, or potentially lead to an off night. So I'm not going to judge him just off this one game. Like I told people after the Dante Moore thing, like people were too prisoners of the moment. Like, oh, Dante Moore sucks. Yeah, right. No, he's still, in my opinion, he still would be the best quarterback to come out in this class. It's just he had a bad day. I mean, everybody has one.
They do. 100% agree. What up, cool Kev? Kevin Larker, you're saying Joe Brady's offense put up 30 on Denver defense with 4 turnovers. They could have had more. They still put up a ton of points. We're going to talk about that here. Cool Kev, what's going on, man? JM, you're saying any chance Brady convinces Cignetti to coach the Raiders tomorrow when he's in Miami? I don't think that's the point of him going to Miami. I don't think there's any conversation. But I don't want Cignetti. I want nothing to do with them. Severe thoughts?
Yeah, no. And Cignetti, and this could be, maybe it's negotiation tactics with Cignetti. Coaches say, oh, I'm never leaving, yada. But he's stated on multiple occasions he has no interest in the NFL. He's a college coach. He understands that he is a college coach, and that's what he is. Like, he doesn't have aspirations of moving up any higher than that.
Yeah, I want nothing to. I mean, even if you want Mendoza, but then want Cignetti, there's no reason why you would bring in a rookie quarterback with a rookie head coach to the National Football League that has no experience in the National Football League. I mean, 2 guys that have a massive learning curve. That, I just don't want that. Plus a front office that is learning themselves. Johnspytek, second year as a GM, he's learning how to be a GM. I want nothing to do with that. I want, if we draft a quarterback, if it is Mendoza, I want a very, very, very seasoned head coach to teach him and understand how to be a not just a quarterback in the National Football League, just be a pro, be a professional. And so I want nothing to do with Cignetti. JD's, what's going on, man? All coaches that I want still alive in the playoffs. Raider Pete, David Shaw would be a good president of player personnel. Mike McDaniel as head coach, who brings in our fan favorite tight end coach Frank Smith and defensive connections as well.
Yeah,
we'll see. LS, I honestly don't care how badly Mendoza plays. He's already proven who he is. I just want him to get through the game unscathed.
I feel that.
Yeah, no injuries. House Junkies, what's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking with us. JD's, if we fix the old line and Jetty can run the rock, Mendoza is going to have a good year with us. I'm not expecting playoffs, just good ball.
Yeah, it's progress. Progress. Rookie head coach. Oh, potentially rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. It's progress. That's all I'm looking for. Progress.
I know we want to get into the coaching talk, but there is something I want to say. I said it on my live on Friday when I went solo, and the Genty talk. And I don't know who's in here. I'm sure there's some certain names that we talked specifically straight to. But here's the one thing to really understand is if you are a massive Mendoza fan and you want us to get Mendoza and you think Mendoza is going to be the guy that's going to take us to the promised land, right? Just keep in mind, there's a really, really, really good chance that if Mendoza is the guy, Genty will not get a second contract with us. Because if Mendoza ends up getting us, let's say, to the playoffs, or we start sniffing the playoffs third year of his career, right? That rookie contract, well, guess what? Year 4, now you're talking, you need to re-sign Genty. But if Mendoza is the guy and you think he's going to be the guy, then you are right around the block from dumping a crap ton of money into a franchise quarterback, which means you now need to start picking and choosing where you start to allocate money. And you don't, the free agency market tells you don't dump that type of money into a running back.
Yeah.
And so you better hope if Genty is going to get his worth of a number 6 overall pick, you better hope that by year 3, because year 3 of Mendoza, that's year 4 of Genty, you better hope that we go to a Super Bowl, we win a Super Bowl with Genty. That Genty's a piece to the puzzle of a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a good organization will dump money into Genty, a running back, not just Genty. Let's take away Genty's name, into a running back position when you know you have literally a franchise quarterback that you're about to have to dump a ton of money into to hold on to. Just keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
And think also, if Genty, his contract's right around the corner, guess what? That means that you potentially already paid Brock Bowers. If you want Brock Bowers to be here, you've already dumped money into Brock Bowers. He's already taken up a good portion of your salary cap space.
Yeah. And Brock Bowers will probably demand like wide receiver type money.
Exactly.
He could be the first tight end to demand that kind of money. And so if you want that scenario, then you probably you got to trade maxxcrosby. At that point, you have to
100%.
maxxcrosby has to be gone. Because maxxcrosby at that point he would have already exhausted this contract. He would be on a contract extension at that point, because you have to make a decision on maxxcrosby really after this next year, because you don't want him going to that last year as a lame duck. So you have to extend him probably after this year. So he's working off an extension. That extension is going to be much more expensive than the contract he is getting now because of what Myles Garrett signed. He's going to and Micah Parsons signed. So he's going to get somewhere in that neighborhood. So if you want to keep a running back that's going to be rather pricey, well, hopefully, we assume he's going to be pricey. That's doing some assuming. But if we want to keep her, if say Genty turns into a fantastic player, and you want to keep him, and you're gonna have to pay him, you're gonna have to make some decisions elsewhere. And as 805 said, resource allocation is one of the most important things a GM does. And smart GMs don't allocate valuable resources on running backs. And this GM did not get off to a good start in that regard.
And again, it's just decisions that are going to have to be made. And if you are a massive fan of Mendoza, then you're probably expecting, and you picked Mendoza number 1 overall, he is the guy. He's going to win you multiple Super Bowls. The thing is, by that 4th year and contract talks come up, you already have to figure out, what are we going to do with Genty? And again, it's taken in mind, I think all of us would love to have Brock Bowers on this roster for the rest of his career, because tight ends don't grow on trees. It's like edge rushers, it's like left tackles, it's like quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't come across a generational tight end like that. So we would hope that we would pay him, and he's on the books, and now you got some big decisions to make. So just keep that in mind. All right. Real quick, Cole, we had a season coach. How'd that work out? Okay, that's different. I think you're talking about Petecarroll. That's different.
He was expired.
Like that's different.
That was beef jerky. It wasn't seasoned. Yeah. He was jerky.
When I talk about experience, just how much you've actually had in the NFL leading up to your position, and you're still young enough to be with us for the next 20 years. So that's what I mean by that. Unless it shouldn't cost us too much to re-sign a 900-yard back. To Severe's point, how much is it going to take? And then Cole here, so you guys going to let Genty walk and take a broken Josh Jacobs?
No.
I'm getting a running back in the 4th round. Exactly. Could do good against and I'm going to take what I'm not paying Genty, invest in the offensive line, protect our quarterback, and take a 4th round running back or a cheaper free agent and just get what we need out of him.
Exactly.
Knowing that if Mendoza is the guy and he's balling, then guess what? Then we have ourselves a quarterback that all we need is a serviceable running back that's going to look good because we've allocated a lot of salary cap space or money to the offensive line. Let's keep that quarterback upright.
Yeah, James Cook, 2nd round guy. Kenneth Walker, the third round guy. Zach Charbonnet, 2nd round guy. Kyron Williams, I think, was a 4th round guy. Blake Corum was a 3rd round. Like Devon Achane was what, 3rd round? Like they're out there. They're out there. Don't let what these people tell you, like you have to take one. They're out there. There are plenty of good guys out there.
And to the Josh Jacobs, like I didn't want to re-sign Josh Jacobs, but my plan wasn't to replace him with Genty. Like that wasn't the plan. The plan was to allocate, invest in the offensive line.
Yeah.
So that you can't get a guy in the 3rd or 4th round, even 5th round, and still have a sufficient enough running game. But we just that's why I think it makes it really hard for people to have this conversation, because we always refer back to, but then you wanted Josh Jacobs, or we didn't keep Josh Jacobs. It's just, I didn't want Josh Jacobs, but we didn't address it properly. And so that's why it's hard to have that conversation. What up, Jason? What's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking with us, man. Real quick before we get into coaches, LS, best case scenario, if Genty is cooking in year 3, I'm dangling him on a trade table and trying to recoup some of that ridiculous capital we used.
Other teams are smart, though. Other teams are going to wait for him to hit free agency. And lowball them.
Right? They will, right? What else, Pigspace? What's going on, man? Let's see. We got Edgar in the building as well. What's going on? Dennis Allen as DC. I don't know if he's going anywhere.
Yeah, he has that job, yeah.
Yeah. And so my 2, draft another running back when time is right and trade Genty.
We'll get like a 3rd from Max. We'll get a 3rd round pick from him.
Right, like the best thing is that he's actually doing well. That would be the best case scenario. He's doing well, so that we actually have some way of potentially trading him and getting something out of it. But again, that's all if Mendoza. And again, it's if I hear people say Mendoza, they crown Mendoza and say Mendoza is going to be the next guy to win us 3 to 5 Super Bowls, then you better be okay with Genty walking.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that, like, in order for Genty to have any trade value, he has to be performing well or relatively well, or people will have to think that if he's not performing well, like most Raider fans, like if he's not performing well, it's because of the Raiders, and it's because of everything else around him. If you put him somewhere else, he will perform well. But then if we trade him, you guys will be mad. so like if he's performing well, you guys will get mad if we trade him. And and if you guys still think it's our fault that he's not doing well, then you would blame the Raiders for not getting the most out of him when they traded him. So it's it's one of those situations where it's kind of damned if you don't, damned if you do. That's why you don't draft running back in the top 10.
Yeah, for and a lot of other reasons. But we're not going to get there. We're going to go into the coaching talk. All right, so we have just the last few days, we had some coaches kind of enter into that coaching talk. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring those guys up. Let me go ahead and set this up, make sure I do it right. Okay, let me go ahead and do that so you can see us at the same time. All right, here we go. First off, all right, so I went live on Friday. If you guys didn't check that out, I'll definitely give you my takes again. But we got another name entered into the head coaching search, but it sounds like a very familiar name. We got ourselves Clay Kubiak, the brother of Clint Kubiak, is now on that list of interviewed head coaches. And so obviously he's over with the 49ers as it stands right now. He has the label of offensive coordinator, but obviously we all know Shanahan is the one calling the shots over there. And so chat, let me know what your thoughts are on Clay Kubiak interviewing as the head coach. Severe, man, let us know your thoughts. What do you think about this this name and this potential news?
It just seems like he's a less experienced Clint at this point. He's Clint Kubiak with I think he's the younger of the two. I think he's like a year younger than him, or a year and some change younger than him, and he's less experienced. So, interesting. Maybe I hope this is not a situation where it's like, okay, we couldn't get Clint, so we're gonna settle for Clint. Like, hope it's not one of those type situations. I think I heard people kind of bandy about that it might be a package deal. I don't think so. Possibly, I guess, because the 49ers will have to give the Raiders permission to do that because it'll be essentially a lateral move. And a team has to approve of that kind of move. That's why we're interviewing as a head coach, because the 49ers can't block an interview as a head coach. They could, if we were interviewing as OC, they could block that. If we want to hire him as an OC, they can block that. They cannot block a promotion. So I don't know what's going on there. But like I said, if it's between Clay and Clint, I'm going with Clint.
Yeah, unless this feels like going after the ugly sister. I was waiting for the hot sister to break up with her boyfriend.
It's Wingman. He's
honestly, I think there it could be one of two things. One, maybe they are. If Clint Kubiak has already hinted at he's going to bring in possibly his brother, or he wants to bring his brother over, then maybe they're just getting some information as to who this guy is. Who is he? What does he bring to the table? Just to kind of do their due diligence, kind of understand that if Clint Kubiak is already saying, I might bring in my brother onto my coaching staff, then maybe they're doing their homework already. Could be that. And which I wouldn't, I'll be real, I wouldn't be a fan of it. Obviously, we saw what happened with Petecarroll and bringing in his sons and stuff, but my biggest thing as a coach is, in my opinion, is you want to bring people to the table that can do it at an elite level, that they have a good background, but somebody that's also going to be able to kind of push back and go, hey, like, bring in people that do it well with your same mindset, but maybe they do it differently in a little bit, because then you can collaborate. Then you can like bring together the masterminds.
Yeah.
And if they disagree a little bit with with your direction, then you can respect that opinion because they've done it well elsewhere. And the thing is I'm trying to figure out exactly kind of where Clay Kubiak, where he's done it well. Yeah. He's behind Shanahan. You really don't understand just how much development he's been able to do within that 49er coaching staff. And so I'm not a big advocate of just bringing in yes men. And sometimes when you bring in family, it's just going to be a yes situation. And he might just constantly agree, where you want to get the masterminds together and understand that if someone disagrees or has feedback, that they've done it well elsewhere, and it might change your philosophy, or it might change your outlook just enough, and it could be very dangerous. But on the flip side of that, if it's not necessarily them just trying to understand who he is based on Clint Kubiak saying, I might bring my brother in, maybe it's them just trying to figure out what kind of person is your brother? What kind of person is Clint Kubiak? You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe they're just trying to get a deeper dive into who Clint Kubiak is by talking to the brother.
Possibility, yeah.
Because I don't see a world where he's our head coach. I don't see it. So I think the intention has to be completely different, other than them wanting him to potentially come in and be the next head coach. And so that's kind of my opinion on that. I'm not a big fan of bringing in family members, because I think you run the risk of them just yesing you the entire time.
Yeah, you don't say.
And so maybe we don't want that. And so you got Cole Kev. We already tried the nepotism route. Let's see. J-Ro, I think even if we have him calling plays severe, I don't know what he's responding to. I don't know if it's
talking about. No, it's still, the position is a position. So just because you add responsibilities to the position doesn't mean it's a promotion. Like, like your job takes and adds responsibilities to you all the time, I'm sure. That doesn't mean you're getting a promotion. It just means you're getting more work. Like, that's just what it is. So, like, it still be considered a lateral move.
Yeah, Kevin Lurkin. If I were my brother, it'd be an argument every 10 minutes. Yeah, maybe.
Oh man, my God, there'd be fist fighting in the coaches.
Huh? And at the time you kind of run that risk of like, hey, there could be those arguments, right? Because now you feel so comfortable with it being your brother, you might kind of snap back, knowing that.
But look, to me, and it's from me watching, and I haven't watched I didn't watch like as many as you did. but I've watched a few press conferences from each of them. It seems like Clay was the 49ers one is like the more like extroverted one, or he's a more like, he's like more vocal than Clint. Like I told Chris, I was like, man, it looks like Clint has to schedule sex with his wife after he has her sign a consent form. Like that's the vibe Clint gives me. Like, like, here, honey, sign here, initial here. I see you at 7. Like that's the vibe he gives me. Like, not a very like demanding and take action kind of person. Is real mealy mouthed and and that's the vibe I got. Clay, I didn't get as much of that. I guess he seemed to be a little bit more confident, especially with dealing with the media. Maybe he's like, more used to doing that kind of thing, but I don't know.
I haven't seen any of his press conferences, so I don't know. Your take on Clint? That's it's almost like it's tough because again, it's always a risk. You really never know exactly who they're going to be in that head coaching position. But it's like all the people that kind of gave Ben Johnson crap a little bit about saying that he's not going to be that type, like he's not going to be able to be that player's coach type of guy. He's going to be so demanding. He's going to be, he's going to kind of have that vibe to him. And there's a lot of question marks with that. I don't think I get the same thing that you're getting, but that's a pretty interesting take. Don't make me look at Clint Kubiak differently, Severe. Okay. We're gonna get to the next coach, guys. Let me know your thoughts. But Pigs, you say, do we think Rob Leonard will get a shot at DC in any context? I don't think so. I don't think in this cycle, whether it's with another organization, I don't think it's with us. I think the next guy's going to bring in his whole next regime. I could be wrong, but I think he's going to bring in his guys. But I just don't know if Robbie Leonard, because you got to remember, Robbie Leonard was a former tight end. He wasn't an actual defensive end or a defensive player. He was a former tight end. And so I'd be really curious if, even with what he's done with our defensive line, and he's had success, I don't know if it automatically transfers him into the DC job or DC role right away. I just don't see it. But I could be 100% wrong. Severe thoughts?
I wouldn't hold that against him because Mike Tomlin's a former wide receiver.
Yeah.
But I think he got some looks last cycle as defensive coordinator, if I recall correctly.
Did he?
Yeah, I want to say he got some looks, at least one interview with the team. It might have been I don't know. I want to say somebody interviewed him for the job. Was it us internally? I don't recall, but he got at least one interview for DC. I think he's been following Patrick Graham around for a little while. So I think he worked with Patrick Graham when he was when Patrick Graham was a defensive coordinator in Miami. So if anybody from that Miami staff gets like maybe Mike McDaniel doesn't want to revisit Patrick Graham as his DC, or he can't get somebody else, maybe Robbie Leonard is somebody he has connections with. And if Patrick Graham doesn't have a DC job, then Robbie Leonard will be free. Or even if Pat does get a defensive coordinator job, and Robbie Leonard is looking for a promotion, maybe that's a long shot scenario, but I don't think just yet. I think maybe a year or two for him. But I'm sure if he gets somewhere and the defense starts having success, I'm sure his name will start to kind of be buzzed around in league circles once again.
Yeah. So all right, let's get to the next one because I know we had a question before about good old Joe Brady. Let's get to the next guy. Then we got Joe Brady. All right, Joe Brady. He is now on the list of head coaches that we're going to interview. Chat, let me know what your thoughts are on Joe Brady. Would you like him to potentially be our next head coach? I know a lot of people have mentioned his name, and so I'll throw it to Severe first. Chat, let me know what your thoughts on Joe Brady, man. What do you like about him?
I mean, the thing about Joe Brady is obviously he's been the guy on offense for the Bills for essentially this entire time since Dayball left to be the head guy with the Giants. So he has the experience leading that unit. So you could essentially tie everything that happens with that unit to Joe Brady. Obviously don't have the weapons that some of these other offenses have, but he's been getting production out of guys like Khalil Shakir. Obviously great production out of James Cook. Good production out of Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. So I think he's a guy that, he's had some success with Buffalo. I think where people have questions is like, Josh Allen is like a premier talent, and you wonder if he doesn't have a Josh level talent at quarterback, what his offenses will look like. I think that's the biggest concern with him. But he's a guy that I think, but to begin the season, he was like the hottest name out there. Like, that was the guy everybody was looking at was him.
Yeah. What up, D-Rock? What's going on, man? Let D-Rock know what your thoughts on George Pickens in the chat. We're going to talk about head coaches. Maybe we'll try to touch on that a little bit later. But LS, it's a dangerous game to have potentially a rookie head coach, a rookie QB, and a rookie DC. Fair enough. LS, you're talking about Rob Leonard a little bit. I really like Rob Leonard, though. I just don't think it suits our current position. And I think we'd likely be his best bet in terms of DC job. Maybe just because of the familiarity. Yeah. Jero, Brady can run the RPO. Does he run a lot of RPO over there? I don't know how much he actually runs the RPO now. And just know that the NFL doesn't run a lot of RPO in general. And so as much as you can run it, the RPO game, you can't lean on it. Like, yes, he can run it if he can. I don't know how much he actually runs it, but you don't lean on the RPO in the NFL. I don't know if that would be a big selling point for me, even though Mendoza can run the RPO beautifully.
Yeah.
You don't run it as much in the NFL at all. So that's definitely something you're not going to lean on. And so Keith, I think we interviewed him today. It went down, I think, either today, I believe.
Brady?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's home now.
Tien.
Allen from Cancun.
Tien, you're passing. I think it looks like you're passing on Joe Brady. Cool, Kev. Joe Brady can coach an offense. Is Josh Allen coming with him? I'd be curious what they do with what's his face that's already over there, the head coach that's there right now.
McDermott.
I'd be curious what they do with McDermott.
Yeah. And could it be a situation where they get rid of McDermott if they want Joe Brady to stay that bad? They just get rid of McDermott and elevate Joe Brady?
I mean, because you almost have to, if Joe Brady is already in that mix of head coaches and you know you're about to lose him, and you just think McDermott is just not going to be the guy to carry this, and you put Josh Allen through another offensive-minded another offensive coordinator, he's got to learn a new system, and you almost, when you have to throw another offensive coordinator into the mix, it's almost like Josh Allen, you're playing elite, but you're going to take a step or two back just a little bit because now you're learning a brand new offense. And if that offense has a different just mindset, then now it might be different personnel. So now you got to go through the draft, free agency, and now Josh Allen has to get chemistry with new receivers. It's just, you just don't know how it's going to work. And I'd be really curious if they're questioning whether McDermott is the guy, knowing that Joe Brady's going to leave, and he might get elevated. It'll be really interesting. Moving over Miami. Bills know how to lose in the playoffs. Yes, they do. It's Josh Allen's. It's been a rough road.
Yeah, it was crazy that I think they changed the overtime rules for Josh Allen after that Patrick Mahomes situation. And he has yet to win a game under those rules in overtime. He's like 0-4 in overtime since they changed the rules. This is great. It's incredible.
That's brutal. What up, Rose Town? What's going on, man? Jay-Z's. I wouldn't be upset with Brady.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset.
Let's see. Cool, Kev, you're answering if we get George Pickens. We could get A.J. Brown.
Getting Joe Brady would be like somebody buying you a Milky Way when you ask for a Snickers. It's like, it's not what I wanted. It's close enough, I guess.
Ready to Pete will Bell's fire their head coach. Yeah, like that's. I think that you could easily ask that question. And so let's see. Omega XL. There's a great OC headed to the championship game. let's get McDaniels back in the seat. Okay, all right. Well, goddamn it, I got to censor some of these goddamn.
Never let him go. I said we should never let him go. At least not at that very moment. But
LS Mickey Wizard, dope. J-Ro, okay, sorry, he ran a lot of RPO at LSU. Okay, yeah, I got you. Okay, cool.
Do they have Milky Ways in down there? Are they called Mars bars down there? Or maybe it's Mars. You guys have Mars bars instead.
Maybe it is Mars bars.
Maybe Mars bars down there. I don't know. They've been changing the names different places.
my thoughts. Here I guess I'm still Clint Kubiak. One, Mike LaFleur. It's really interesting because Mike LaFleur, I love his experience. He's with Sean McVay under that tree. I think, just what he could bring to the table with his experience, I think is definitely a plus for him. The thing with Joe Brady, it's kind of like the flip side, is Joe Brady doesn't have a lot of experience in the NFL. He only has about 4 years of NFL experience, and he had his first stint as an offensive coordinator, I believe, over with Carolina. And I'm not gonna judge his first year of play calling experience, whether bad or good, like Mike LaFleur. I'm not gonna judge his first year. It's just good that he have experience. You're seeing what Joe Brady is doing over there, and yes, you can question if he doesn't have Josh Allen, is he still going to be able to kind of replicate or repeat what he's doing? But he's got the experience, which is good. And you can see that he can navigate it, which is really good. He's that head play caller. And so it's really hard to, I could say for myself, it's like Clint Kubiak is 1, and then you got Mike LaFleur as B, and then you have Joe Brady as right behind him. But I wouldn't be mad at either. I wouldn't be mad at Mike LaFleur. I wouldn't be mad at Joe Brady because I'm starting to kind of put them almost in the same boat a little bit, just because as much as Joe Brady doesn't have a lot of experience in the NFL, he's shown he can get it done as the premier play caller. Exactly. So that's kind of where I land with him. Now, even though I lean offensive-minded head coach, it'd be really hard to figure out, is it Joe Brady or is it Brian Flores? That would be more of a conversation to me because Brian Flores, man, Joe Brady's just young. He just doesn't have a lot of experience. The question is what defensive coordinator would he really be able to bring in? How much respect does he warrant around the league to get a really good staff together? That's the part that I would worry with Joe Brady. And so, but Brian Flores would put together a hell of a staff, and so I think that's where, man, I'd struggle. So,
yeah, I would put, like I said, Joe Brady would probably be 5th for me. Looking at my guys, if I have Kubiak at 4th, he'd probably be 5th for me. And actually, not even 5th. I'd probably prefer Mike McDaniel over Joe Brady, to be honest with you. And I'm struggling between Mike McDaniel. I'm struggling between Mike McDaniel and Kubiak. I guess Mike McDaniel. I usually don't like guys right off of losing their jobs. I kind of want to stay away from that. So that's why Mike McDaniel is the struggle with me with him and Kubiak. Because of all the guys that are there, I think Mike McDaniel is the best schemer of all the guys that are available in just terms of his scheme. Offensively, I think he would be 1A. Just seeing what he's been able to do. And I think if you give him the opportunity, because he inherited Tua. So not like he went out and he drafted Tua and this is the guy I want at quarterback. He inherited Tua. So I think if you were seeing what his offense would look like with the quarterback of his choice, I think could look drastically different because he built that system or what they were running to, kind of accentuate as much of Tua's strengths as he can. And Tua's strengths isn't going downfield. It's a timing passing game. It's quick rhythm. It's accuracy. It's that kind of thing. And and then you got a team with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They aren't the most precise route runners either. So you kind of trying to build that. And then you see what he did with Darren Waller. As soon as Darren Waller got there, Darren Waller started producing immediately. Immediately from game after being off for a year and some change. So
who was the other tight end he had?
Yeah, Jonnu Smith before that.
Jonnu Smith.
Yeah,
you made Jonnu Smith look pretty damn good.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like I guess I struggle with Mike McDaniels, like, and Kubiak. This is kind of right there with both. They're both kind of quirky, weird, but you know, like I don't know.
I don't know if I can, and maybe I'm just missing the press conferences that you're watching because I can't put Kubiak and Mike McDaniels in that same boat of quirky. Like, and again, maybe I'm just missing some of the post game conferences because Mike McDaniels is like on another level.
Yeah, I think Mike McDaniels is idiosyncratic, but I don't think he's like, I don't think he is scared to be vocal. I don't like get the impression that he will be scared to tell you what it is or tell you he doesn't like something or tell you to change something. With Clint Kubiak, I get the like, it's like real Millie mouth. Like, to me, he's just like super unconfident, not really like super monotone, like no charisma, no gravity, like none of that to him at all. Mike McDaniel has all of that. It's just quirky, but he's himself though. Like, and that's what I appreciate. If you're being your true, genuine self, I think that shines through. Yeah. I don't think Kubiak is being himself. I think he's being nervous or being like, you know, like reserved because for whatever reason he's in front of cameras or whatever. And if you're like that in front of cameras, then you know, like, you got to deal with the room of grown men who are expecting you to lead them. Like that concerns me.
So I'm gonna have to look more at some of his press conferences to kind of see. Because again, I've watched some, and it looks like I'm with you. Like, he is pretty monotone. He's not very. I mean, he does, in my opinion, I think he's confident with his answers, but he is very monotone. It doesn't come off like he's. Yeah, he's monotone. I will 100% agree with that.
Not commanding. Let's just say, to me, it's not a commanding.
I can agree with that.
And Mike McDaniel's not necessarily commanding either, but like, it's very, I don't know, he's just like very energetic. Like, it's like it's an energy to him that, like, at least you have something that, you know, people can grasp onto that energy. And then I just heard Darren Waller talk about him, and it might be some recency bias there as well. The way Darren Waller talks about him, and Darren Waller he spent years in the Ravens organization, so he'll know a coach, and he spent years around Gruden too. So he knows what a good offense will look like. You know, he knows what a good organization should look like, what a leader would look like. He's had glowing things to say about McDaniel.
Who did? My bad.
Darren Waller.
Oh, okay.
Who was just down there this past year, and you know, like, he's just talking about his scheme, like the stuff he was talking about, saying, it was just like, that's what made me, because I wasn't really on the McDaniel thing, but just hearing him talk about him, then I heard some other people just talk about him as a schemer. Some people like in the media saying like, just like he's the real deal. Then I start to look at a little bit more into what other people have to say about him, and it's just like he's universally accepted. This guy is a genius, and like, when I forgot who was talking about it, somebody else brought it up when like Mike McDaniel was a receivers coach, and when Kyle Shanahan was going over the offensive game plan or the running game plan, he was like, "Oh, me and Mike haven't gone over it yet. We haven't talked about it yet." And this is when Mike McDaniel was just like a lowly receivers coach, but he was having him get involved back then, and he recognized the kind of genius he had back then. So it's like, I mean, it makes me think that, you know, it just gives me a different impression of him.
Yeah, I said this when he first got hired, because, you know, my entire family is basically 49er fans. And so I was asking my family, I was like, what do you guys think about this guy? Because to me, I felt like he's not a guy that can command the locker room. Like, when you're down by 17, 20 points, and he's not going to be the guy in that locker room pumping me up for a comeback win, you know, or if you start the season, you know, and you're 1-7, it's like, he just doesn't strike me as the type of guy that's going to get me motivated to kind of turn the season around, you know? And so, because he is quirky, right? And so,
he is very quirky.
So it's just like, that's for me. That's why I don't like him as a head coach. I think genius play caller. I think you could definitely put him in that boat. When it comes to developing a quarterback, that's kind of what I question a little bit. Is even as much as Tua wasn't a great quarterback, you know, Tua had the intangibles to kind of work with, but unfortunately, and it's trying to figure out, is it Tua, or I'm telling you, like, those concussions were nasty. Like, what was going on in Tua's head? Like, was he able to process enough to really get or improve as a quarterback? I don't know what the problem was, but Mike McDaniels just wasn't really able to get the best out of Tua, or at least develop him to a top tier quarterback, because he was picked as a top quarterback. So as an offensive coordinator, without question, I think you bring him in. I think he could get this thing rolling. As a head coach, I question it big time. That'd be tough for me, at least. I know some people
totally understandable. Yeah, totally understandable.
I think some people are talking about what up, Loon? I saw you in here. If Mike McDaniels was a content creator, it'd be Sanjeet. How you compare that? That's crazy.
I don't even know how.
That's funny. Let's see. Okay. All right. So we kind of got through that a little bit. Alec M. I see you in here. What's going on, brother? Let's see. Oh, Pigs depends on the vibe, the locker room. Mike Daniels and Pavia, that'd be wild. And someone said something about Mike McDaniels in Vegas. You could see him just low key partying in Vegas. It would be wild.
But he was just in Miami though, so like it's not like
it's not too far off. I'm with you. I'm with you. Wardlow, what's going on, man? Offensive minded if we're going QB. If not, it's whatever. Appreciate you rocking with us. Let's see. We got MC in here. Maybe McDaniels' quirkiness will vibe with Mendoza's quirkiness. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true too, though. That's true too.
Just DJ saying Tua was a Pro Bowler. Was he a Pro Bowler with Mike McDaniel?
He was. Yeah, Tua. Remember they had like the number one offense in the league one year.
Was it because Tua was? I mean, because I know that
Tua was balling.
Tua was balling. Then that's on me. That's on me then. Maybe it was just the head injury.
They were running the ball well too, though. But
I thought it was the run. But okay.
Yeah, Tua was balling.
I thought it was more run, which was why that offense was just balling. I didn't know that it was more Tua. But if he made the Pro Bowl, hey, then I stand corrected. That's on me. Let's see. All right, cool. Appreciate everybody rocking. Do me a favor, double tap that screen. Loon, I see you in here, guys. Make sure you guys go over to Lunatic's channel. He goes live like every day of the week. I think Monday through Thursday. Definitely go check him out, man. Appreciate you rocking. So okay. Let me kind of go back up to the big screen. We got something we're going to talk about. All right. So, actually, let me switch up. I didn't know I had that. Hold up. Bang. I'm switching it up. One thing we want to talk about. We talked about the head coaches. Obviously, some news was dropping a little bit over the last couple of days. One thing that I want to talk about real quick before the head coaching news definitely starts to hit us is some of our free agents. All right, we got a bunch of free agents that are going to hit free agency on our team last year. We're going to kind of go through the list a little bit. I want your guys' feedback as to who you think we should bring back. And I know that there's going to be some comments in the chat. We sucked. Don't bring any of them back. That's not the case. Like, you want to bring some names back that are serviceable, right? They're not going to, blow up the charts stats wise, but if they could be serviceable, and you don't go into the draft with as many position needs, and that's what you want to do. Right? And now, keep in mind, I fully understand that we need to understand who our coach is, our head coach is, to really understand who you want to bring back, who's going to fit their scheme. But let's go through the names. Let's just see who would we want to potentially bring back and see what we're looking at. And so I'm going to share the screen real quick. Double tap that screen, guys. Hit that like button. We appreciate it. If you want to get included in the chat, hit that sub button. We do a sub-only chat, show appreciation to our subscribers. We do have memberships as well. Just a heads up, we're going to break down game film. We're going to start breaking down game film once we hire our head coach, because then we're getting an idea as to who. What happened? The Pro Bowl just for putting on the cleats. God damn it. We're gonna start breaking down game film once we know who the coach is, because then we're gonna get an idea. I'm already cutting up the film Mendoza and stuff like that, and so we'll definitely tap into Mendoza because he's gonna be the hot name without question. But once we kind of get the head coach in place, then we'll really start to focus on players, because then we'll possibly know what the scheme is gonna be. And so, but if you guys want to get included in the chat, hit that sub button. Definitely give us your feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully, let's do this. I'm going to bring it back up. Bang. Share the screen. Got it. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see it. I did blow it up a little bit, so hopefully the names on there are all right, but I can go from top to bottom. So, guys, let me know what you think. We got quite a bit. I might skip some names because I think, but it's okay to kind of move off of them. We don't really need to prioritize it. But the top name at the list, we got Malcolm Kuntz. We signed him for just over $11 million, obviously coming off of that ACL injury. Typically, it takes a full season of active play for players to potentially kind of get their feet back underneath them. We showcased a little bit those last 3 games. You started to see Malcolm Kuntz wake up a little bit, not like end of 2023, but you started to show flashes of it. Chat, let me know what your thoughts are on Malcolm Kuntz. Do you think we should potentially try to bring him back, given the fact that we don't have much depth and we need somebody opposite of maxxcrosby if he's still around? So, chat, let me know, Severe, what's your thoughts on Malcolm Kuntz?
Probably leaning no. This is great. I'm probably leaning no, but depending on what the contract looks like, I wouldn't mind it. But it's all depending on the contract. It had to be a very team friendly deal. Probably like a 1 year with the team option or a team option for a second year type of deal. Which I doubt if he takes. There'll probably be somebody that thinks he can recapture some of what he did 2 years ago, and they might pay him a little bit more. Maybe have a little bit more of an opportunity. But right now I'm leaning no, but that could change depending on the contract.
Let me see. In order to view this, you need a magnifying glass. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit. Look, let's try to do this. All right. I want to kind of show the previous contract, but hopefully this helps. Pigs, you're saying Kuntz on a team-friendly deal would be okay, but I think he will get better offers.
Agreed.
Jason, you're saying basically depends on the money for everyone. I'm with you.
Not for everybody.
It's
as LS said, Stone Forsythe would have to pay us.
That is true. That is true. LS, Eric Stokes, Jamal Adams, and Charles Snowden. You could talk me into Carlson depending on the money. Having said that, I wouldn't care if they all walked. Kevin Lurker, I will never make the mistake of hope and recovery versus a proven product again. I think you're talking about Caleb Von Chason. Yeah. House Junkies, Kuntz. No, Kuntz is damaged goods. JD's Kuntz either way, but for less money.
Because it'd be a situation where we miss out. Because I think people speculated, it kind of takes a year to get fully back. So we could have overpaid him for that first year of recovery and then let him walk on the year that he'll be right and he'll go somewhere and he balls out. That's what I'm saying. It depends on what everybody else said. Depends on the money for Kuntz.
Yeah. So for myself, I think it's always about what the money is, right? I mean, if someone is probably going to take a chance on Kuntz, what that number looks like, I have no clue. But if I can just kind of throw a number out there, if you want to bring Kuntz back, you'd almost have to cut that number in half. You signed $11 million for 1 year. I'd almost say the starting point is kind of cut that number in half, knowing that you could have a serviceable backup. Like you know what he can do, and so. In my opinion, I would consider bringing him back, but my starting point would cut that previous contract in half. Start off at 5.5 because the salary cap is going to go up. We have plenty of salary cap money to kind of throw around, but I would probably start with cutting that number in half. So no way in hell would you bring him back for that same contract you gave him last year. So I know a couple people talked about look, Daniel Carlson hit that game winner at the end of the last point of the season to maybe save potential contract talks. I know a lot of people were basically saying, hey, we move on from him. I'll move it over. His current contract, you got him last year for $4.6 million. I don't know what the free agent market looks like, and so I'm just going to kind of Carlson. Well, I'm kind of wait and see with Carlson. I got to look more at what's available out there. And so, Severe, any thoughts on Carlson?
Same thing, wait and see type situation. I mean, remember, I think when we signed Carlson, did we have Eddie Pinheiro at the time? Didn't we draft the guy? Or we drafted the kid from Florida. Was that Eddie Pinheiro? Kid we drafted?
God, did we have Eddie Pinero? He's from Florida.
For Eddie Pinero's from Florida? Then we had Eddie Pinero, I want to say. And then because Carlson he was with the Vikings. I think he missed like 4 field goals in the game. They cut him. Yeah. I think Eddie Pinero got hurt, and we picked up Carlson, and Carlson he was balling in that year. And he's been up and down. He's been up and down, especially this year. There's a lot more down and up. He finished strong. Does that save him? Possibly. But, like kicking is one of those situations where, sometimes it's better to deal with the devil you know than the devil you don't. So if they're comfortable enough with him moving forward, I can see him being back. But, if they feel they can make an upgrade or get a guy that's reasonably close to his performance level for cheaper, then I wouldn't surprise me if they go elsewhere either.
Yeah, and real quick, Ellis said could let Kuntz walk and play Devin White purely as an end. I think Devin White could be a nasty edge rusher.
Yeah.
He's so damn athletic.
You think he'd be like around a 3-4 though? So I don't think
I think so. I don't know. I think he's got the ability to just run. He could still be an edge rusher in a 4-3 scheme. Just because he has I don't know what Malcolm Kuntz's size is based on comparison to Devin White. But it's bringing him in situational. Like if Devin White's a situational edge rusher,
yeah,
I'd probably take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I think Devin White is going to. We're going to get down to Devin White, his name, but I think he's going to get a contract that I'm not necessarily willing to pay because I think I'm going to bring in another linebacker, a different linebacker that's going to be on this list. But Devin White at edge is very intriguing. That's what I actually thought. I thought that initially that we were going to bring Devin White in to play edge, not linebacker.
Yes, yeah. I thought he was going to play that. I thought he was going to be like one of those type of guys that he was kind of like a what's that, like the Leo? Played like the Leo, where it's like one of those roles.
Yeah.
But we had Pratt playing that instead of him.
Yeah. But we also, next thing you know, here comes what's his face? Jamal Adams going to take away all those roles.
Snowden played a lot of that too, though.
Yeah. They dropped him back, which is crazy. They did drop him back. All right, I'm not going to talk about Kenny Pickett. We'll address quarterbacks elsewhere. Big name, Eric Stokes. Chat, let me know if you would want to bring back Eric Stokes. I know some people have already mentioned it. Raider Pete, you're saying Coons is maybe fifth most important to bring back. Stokes, Snowden, and maybe White and Adams should be good pieces to keep. Maybe Kai Blue Kelly for depth. We'll get down to that name. But, guys, let me know about Eric Stokes. Severe, honestly, for me, I think it's a name I would consider bring back because you don't know what you have in Darian Porter. You don't know what you have in DCAM. You're most likely going to have to address it in free agency again, or maybe draft another corner. And so if you can have a veteran that's going to help maybe teach the next guy, continue to help teach Darian Porter, but he played good enough to where it's not a hole that you have to address potentially in the draft if you keep a veteran like that. So I'd be okay with bringing back Eric Stokes. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I think I think he's probably top of the list of guys I would say bring back. Him and another guy. Oh, that's right. Him and the next guy are probably like the 2 top guys I would say bring back for sure.
There, yeah.
So and much to what you said, he's still relatively young. He had a healthy season this year. You want to see what scheme we're going to be in because, he didn't get a lot of targets because they were just targeting Devin White and Kyle Blue Kelly just constantly. So we didn't see a lot of action over there. But when he did, I think he performed well. So, if we can keep this corner room together, we got 2 fast guys that, have size for the cornerback position. I think that would be good. I think that's like a nice little starting point for our secondary.
Yeah, Kevin Licker, yes. As of last year, he was our number 1 corner without question. And so, maybe you can bring him back. Still kind of I don't know how team friendly it would be because I think he played well enough where he might garner some attention in free agency. And so you might, I don't know what the market's going to be for him. And so, but I honestly would definitely, without question, consider bringing him back. And I think the majority of the chat is thinking the same thing. Alec DeCam hasn't shown much. No, he hasn't. And Darren Porter shows flashes, but we just don't know what we have in him. And so we definitely got to figure out what we got. But again, we don't want to go into free agency or the draft with so many needs that now you're kind of just pigeonholing yourself into filling that role. Loan, unless we can get Woolen in free agency. Dang, is he?
Pricey. It's gonna be pricey.
It would be pricey, and he is a free agent this year, huh?
Yeah, but Seattle, I think Seattle's going to do what they can to bring him back, though.
Probably. Next,
but because they don't have to make it. They don't have to make a decision on Devin Witherspoon right yet. No, they have. They don't have to make a decision yet, right?
Not yet.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think they'll bring him back.
Yeah, and Devin Witherspoon, man. That was a guy I liked in the draft quite a bit.
That was my number one corner. I know a lot of people like Gonzalez. Devin Witherspoon for me was my number one corner.
He was my number one, but because he got drafted before us, before our pick, my next was Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
So like I liked Devin Witherspoon a lot. All right, DC, you got Landon Roberts. That's the next name. Chat, let me know. Would you want to bring back Landon Roberts? I think we all know we've shared the panel enough, Severe. We've shared the screen enough. We all know our opinion. But, Severe, what's your thoughts on Landon Roberts? Do you want to potentially bring him back?
Yeah, man, I love to bring him back. You know, does he have any interest in coming back is the question. You know, just want to, a rebuild. The team will probably lose. He's 30. He's 32 there. He's won rings. He's been on winning franchises. Does he really want to come back and, battle for a team that's probably going to finish with a losing record? That remains to be seen. But I think if he is willing to come back, that's you want to have a guy like that in your room, right? A leader, a guy that we see he's not afraid to hold guys accountable, to tell guys what it is. He's willing to do it with Max, so I think that's a guy that's important. He talked about, just him kind of working with the younger guys as well. I think that's going to be valuable too. So I would love to have him back, but at 32 for a team that's going through a rebuild, how much interest is going to be there mutually? I don't know.
And so Jersey Raider, what's going on? What free agency would you like in the second and third round of the draft? We're going to do draft talk like a little bit later. Again, I haven't done enough research to even give you names at this point. But trust me, we will do a deep dive. We're going to do mock draft, stuff like that, but that's not going to be until after we kind of get our coach line. And we're going to do mock drafts, honestly, not until after free agency. I know it's fun to do mock drafts, but to be real, like you just really don't know kind of what's going to be available.
I think people need more time. Yes.
That makes sense. House Junkies, you're saying no on Roberts. Cole Kev, you're no on Roberts. Jason, you're saying yes, Roberts, because what's behind him isn't good. Keep in mind, guys, our entire, and what we don't know if Coach John was in the building, our entire linebacker core is basically gutted outside of Tomiami and Lindenberg.
Yeah.
All right, the two Bergs are basically the only ones that are standing around, and we'll know if Coach is in here in just a second. Tomiami is not a starting linebacker right now in the National Football League. He's just not.
I think we got the other kid from the Rams, but he's not a starting player either.
I think he was put down onto the practice squad, so I don't even know if he's still even considered part of a 53 or anything. But Cody Lindenberg was a guy that I wanted in the late rounds. But Cody Lindenberg, you get him in late rounds because you want him to be a good special teams player, contribute in special teams, and hopefully eventually maybe he can sniff a starting position. But right now, our linebacker room is gutted. And so you don't want to go into the draft with so many position needs. In Landon Roberts, I think what he has proven, and I think you kind of look, everybody's kind of back and forth maybe on Landon Roberts. He's a tone setter.
Yeah.
He's going to come down. He's going to hit you without question. I mean, he is going to be a guy that is an instant leader. Obviously, you have maxxcrosby. He is the leader of the defense, but he's another guy that could be a tone setter. He's another leader. I don't think anybody, even though he's 5'10" or whatever he is, no one's gonna mess with Landon Roberts.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think that if you still have a Landon Roberts on this roster and you go draft or get another free agent linebacker. But you go draft a linebacker in second round, third round, someone that could be an instant starter, a guy that you think can play next to Elandon Roberts. You can start building something. But I'm not saying sign Elandon Roberts for another 3 years. I'm thinking a 1-year contract because, he's up there in age without question. He is, he's
32.
Oh, let me switch it up. Yeah, he's 32. Hold on, let me go to bang. He's 32 years old, right? So he's not the youth movement is not with him. So get him in here, 1-year contract. Maybe he plays out the last year of his NFL career with us. But again, what he proved this season, he could be without question a tone setter on the defense, and I'd love to keep him around. And draft a linebacker high. So let me see. Cole Keff, he's a broken spillane. LS, Reek Woolen will likely get 19-20 mil, but I think someone said that Woolen just got paid last year. Or just got an extension. Maybe got like an extension or something. 1-year extension.
Possibly.
Raider Pete, I'll leave it up to the new DC if Elandon Roberts deserves a 1 year with the second option. Yeah,
that's fair.
And I think that's where it's like, as much as we're addressing this, yeah, it's hard to truly know how these guys would fit, even if we want to bring them back based on who the next DC is going to be. So I'm with you. Yeah. Troy, yes on Roberts. What are we doing for coaches, guys? We don't even know, but we talked about it a little bit earlier. We'll see. Mock drafts is like watching paint dry. Right now it is, up until we do it and Severe surprises you.
Yeah.
With something. I'm sure we'll get another one.
It's always an adventure. Always an adventure.
Yeah. Jersey Raider, let all the linebackers walk. If you do that, then you have to address everything in free agency and the draft. And I'm just we have so many position needs that I think Elandon Roberts is a good example of someone that's serviceable, not great in pass coverage. All right, he's definitely susceptible to the pass coverage, but downhill linebacker, tone setter. But he was the only one we had for the most part.
Exactly.
So,
and it's like guys that are on the open market, like they tend to get there be a tendency to get overpaid, and so if you're gonna be getting like equal production, paying more for it, even though we have a lot of cap space now, like these 5, 7, 9 men, like that adds up really quickly, and we got to fill out a 53-man roster. Like it's gonna take a lot of money.
Yeah. Let's see. My trust are great. You're either drinking Kool-Aid or hot dog water. Hey, I swear to God, I'm never going to live that down. I'm not going to live that down. I'll probably never will until we start to actually look on how some of those rookies panned out
to Jacob
this
Perry
season. God damn it.
Is on the first team all defense. And then he said, all pro.
Tristan McCollum, we're going to bypass Lonnie Johnson. I know someone just said Raheem Mostert. Callie, by the bay, you're saying bring back Raheem Mostert. Severe, what's your thoughts on Raheem Mostert? Chat, let me know as well.
My thoughts are he's 34 years old at running back. With the injury history, I'm okay on Raheem Mostert. I would have liked to have seen some more of him. We didn't give any running back outside of Genty any carries, really. We weren't really in a position to most of the times. We're getting our teeth kicked in. But we didn't give any guys, and I thought when Mostert got some opportunities, I thought he looked more explosive than Genty, in my opinion. It's like how much was that really saying? There, but I thought he was deserving of some more opportunities this past year. But he's 34, man. It's youth movement time. Take a guy in the 5th round that can do what Mostert can do, or you hope he can duplicate that. And since he really didn't produce at all this year. You could really find another guy that can do what he did this year.
Right. In my opinion, I don't want Raheem Mostert. I want to bring in a quality running back that, one, is going to challenge Genty. I know no one's going to take Genty's spot because he's number 6 overall, right? But I want someone that's going to be good enough to where it's going to push Genty to continue to get better. And at the same time, if an injury happens, like it happens to a lot of running backs, you have someone that could fill in to potentially still have a serviceable running game, right? Last year, even before Genty, I liked Rico Dowdle. Want to bring him in this year. He's a free agent.
Yeah.
Bring him in.
He ain't coming here.
Most likely not. But it's an example of a running back.
You know why he's leaving? He's leaving Carolina. He said he wants to go somewhere where he's going to be the guy.
Oh, really?
He said he wants to go over somewhere where he's going to get the bulk of the carries. So it's like, yeah.
But either bring in somebody that's going to have at least enough of a skill set that if Genty goes down, you're going to have at least a serviceable running back. And again, anybody is serviceable depending on how good the offensive line is. So we have to obviously address the offensive line. But bring in somebody that can be good enough to where you don't fall off too much. And with Mostert's just not the guy anymore. And yeah, he can give you like a spark possibly here and there, but he's not a guy that's gonna be able to come in and spell Genty for 8 to 9 carries a game, or if Genty goes down now, you can still run the ball and hope that you can balance the offense out.
Yeah.
So I either want to go get somebody in free agency that's serviceable, or as we've seen it, you can get some running backs in the 4th round or maybe even the 5th round, and you can kind of develop them. And so I'm done with Raheem Mostert. All that to say. So let's see. JDs, you said Mostert looks good in the kick returns. LS, we can upgrade Mostert for cheaper with the UDFA.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe. I still want to know what Chris Collier can do. I'm sorry. I want to see what that kid can do. I don't even know if he'll be real.
The kid, he has some explosiveness to him too.
Yeah. Wardlow, appreciate you. Yes, we do got 100 in cap. We got a lot to mess with.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cole Kev, even Abdul had some juice left in Indy. He did well for what he needed to do for us last year. I actually wanted to bring him back as a veteran.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Amir looked good when he got down the stretch last year, when we got our offensive line set with JPJ at center and Meredith at guard. Abdul was doing work.
Yeah. I wasn't sure why we didn't at least try to bring him back as a veteran, because you have a rookie. I mean, maybe Mostert was the veteran you want to bring in. Okay, but you had a rookie. You needed someone that could clearly be that third down back. And there's question marks on how well Genty was going to kind of be in that passing game. And look, he didn't even start out being the third down back. It was Mostert.
Exactly.
So you keep you keep him to just potentially be that third down back. And if Genty can develop into a third down back, okay, then you got him. Then you can set him on the bench for cheap. That's fine. So it was a little weird that we didn't, but neither here nor there. So all right, House Junkie's done as well with Mostert. Okay. God damn it, LS. Let's see. Hey, Breece Hall is a beast.
Breece Hall is a beast. Yeah, Breece Hall is a beast.
He's a beast.
He's a free agent too. Isn't he a free agent?
I think he is. He is.
Free agent. Yeah. We're not doing it because we're paying Genty the second most guaranteed money of any running back in the league behind Saquon. So that's not happening for us. But somebody could find himself a pretty good running back.
Yeah. What up, Angelo? What's going on, brother? I see you in here. What's going on, man? Alec, you're saying Collier should get. I thought he was gonna get a chance to play that last game, but didn't.
No reason for him not to. I think we got Zamir White some carries in that game. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, what are we doing, bro? He's not part of the future, man. You should have got Chris Collier in
there. I wish. So, all right, Raheem Mostert, Ian Thomas. I think neither here nor there whether he stays. Dylan Parham.
That depends. I know most people want Dylan Parham gone. Depends. Okay. As a depth piece, as a swing guard that has some center potential as well, you might be able to save yourself a roster spot with a guy like Dylan Parham, who has experience at left guard, at right guard, and at center. You may potentially save a roster spot, because like no matter what we want to say about Dylan Parham, he's better than Will Putnam.
He is. He's 100% better than Will Putnam.
You feel me? So and we saw Will Putnam in there. So I think as a depth piece for a reasonable deal, I personally wouldn't mind it. But I'm almost certain everybody in the chat is like Parham has to go, which is understandable.
No, I agree. I guess my thing for myself is because we still have so many question marks at the guard position. Like, we're gonna get to Jordan Meredith. He's down here. We'll talk about Jordan Meredith a little bit. He is down here. He's got to be down here. Is he not down here? Did I miss him? No, he's right there. We're gonna talk about Jordan Meredith. Obviously, we have to know exactly what type of offensive run scheme we're gonna have. It's gonna be more zone, more power. What we have to figure that out before we address exactly who's gonna be on the offensive line. But I think what the issue that I have is we have so many goddamn question marks. Like, what is Caleb Rogers? I think he's going to get playing time, but because John Spytek drafted him. So I think you're still going to find a situation where Caleb Rogers is still going to have that opportunity. But we still don't know who he is. We kind of have a good idea what Dylan Parham is. Dylan Parham, I think, is a serviceable backup. I don't think he's a starter. Could he develop into something with the right coaching? Maybe. Like, our obviously, Brendan Carroll was horrible. But I think I want to get more names into this. Even if you get like a backup from another team that has potential, or you get somebody that maybe it's a veteran to bring in here. I want to go get somebody that can actually be serviceable enough to where it could potentially be a starter if we need him. Whereas I think right now we kind of know who Dylan Parham is, and so I would let him walk. I understand possibly keeping him as a serviceable backup, but I think because we have so many damn question marks. Alex Kappa's still on this goddamn roster, which is wild. And so, but I do think this year we can move on from him. And I don't know how. I think the guaranteed money is gone.
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm cool with moving on from Dylan Parham because I want to bring somebody else in that roster spot that potentially can battle and be a potential starter. Given the fact that shit, dude, like our guard room is really bad right now. It's bad.
It's terrible.
So, but it's understandable. People that basically are saying, "Hey, like, no," and we get it. Like, a lot of people are saying he's got to go, and I get it.
But the thing is, like, you think about people worried about what, because you look at it, guards are getting a lot of money, man. Guards are getting a lot of money, and there's going to be some team out there that sees just the dumpster fire that the Raiders' offensive line was, the terrible hire that Brendan Carroll was, and they'll see that, Dylan Parham was a 3rd-round pick at guard.
Yep.
So that's fairly high. So some people are going to see some potential there and say, you know what, we can work with this guy. We can play to his strengths. He played better on the right side. They had him at the left side after moving him from the right side. When he had his they're going to see the game he had against the Texans. Well, he was balling. He was balling against the Texans. Like, he had the game of his life against the Texans. Like, that's the best we ever seen Dylan Parham. And what happened? Genty played, one of his better games. So they're going to see that and say, you know what, we can work with this guy. And I think they're going to pay him, potentially more than we're willing to pay him.
I agree. Someone might take a swing on him, and they might end up just giving him more. So, all right, let's keep moving. You got Bob Moyer. I know some people kind of throw that out there, but we're not going to focus on that name. You got Terrell Edmonds. I don't think we're going to need to focus on that name. Here's one name, Jamal Adams. Chat, let me know if you want to consider bringing back Jamal Adams. Obviously, keep in mind he was a Pete Carroll guy. And Jamal Adams can be looked at as a rotational piece that could be a tone setter. He was a hitter. He came downhill playing that linebacker spot. And so, chat, let me know what your thoughts on Jamal Adams. Do you want to consider to bring him back? Again, he played that linebacker position. But, Severe, what's your thoughts on Jamal Adams?
It depends. I wouldn't mind it. For at the right price for a depth piece for another veteran there. I think he played well in some spots. Obviously, you love his passion. He played with his hair on fire at all times. He was around the ball a lot whenever he was in there. They took him off the field quite a bit too. So I don't think he got too beat up this year at linebacker. So if we were going to do it, I think we'd have to do something similar. So I wouldn't mind it. As a depth piece, as another veteran guy there, I wouldn't mind that at all. But if he was a scheme fit.
And we got JD saying yes if Roberts doesn't come back. I like him. We could use Jamal around. Yes. Jersey Raider, keep him for depth and experience. Cool Kev, Adams can walk. I'm with. It's like, again, man, if we change up schemes and we go more like 3-4, I think you can keep Adams around to kind of have that overhang type of linebacker / safety that you're basically you're looking for the checkdowns. You know what I'm saying? And so, and obviously he could still bring it and he could set the tone. And so I think it has to be a scheme fit without question. But severe to your point, like he didn't play a whole lot. He probably got roughly around maybe a dozen snaps a game, maybe a little bit more. So he's still, his body's still probably fresh. You can get another year to him, but he is getting up there in age a little bit. I don't know exactly how old he is. He's 31. I mean, you know, does he want to come back? You know, and so, but yeah, it's got to be a scheme fit, got to be a team friendly deal. And if we were to bring him back and the defensive coordinator that we have thinks he could use him, I'd be stoked for it. And it's in situational, stances. So Kevin Lurker depends on the coach. Go get better off with Sam Adams. Hey, he played a decent role for us this year. All right,
Sam Jackson.
That's it. It's all down to the defensive scheme, really. Yes. Jersey Raider, we could play him at strong safety too. Play Chin more around the line of scrimmage like he did before he came to the Raiders. I think he'd get eaten up as a strong safety. You're not dropping him back.
Get destroyed.
And I actually posted a video the day that we signed him. I posted a video on my channel basically saying that if we I thought that Patrick Graham was going to play him more like he did Jabril Peppers when he had him over at the Giants. Yeah. I said, there's no way that Jamal Adams can come here and play safety. I felt like you're instantly going to move him to a box linebacker. You're going to move him inside the box. He's going to play more of that overhang, run more of a zone scheme with him. And because of his instincts, his football smarts, his intelligence, you can play him in his own scheme, and I think you can. He's serviceable without question. Yeah. And so I posted a video that day, and I went to training camp the very next day, and you see him working with the linebackers. Yeah. And so it was a good indication that they brought him in solely to play linebacker, and it made all the sense in the world. And so I don't think if you bring him in and potentially play safety, he'll get eaten alive. He's just not fast and quick enough to hang, you know, in that position, in my opinion. Severe, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, agreed. And I think, you know, especially the old school football fans, they have an affinity for those like Donovan Darius, Bob Sanders type of safeties, where it's like, you know, like
Bob Sanders, he was a bad man.
He was a bad man. He's a bad man. And Donovan Darius is a bad man too. But they think, you know, like I don't know if those guys, you know, are necessarily, they're not really safeties in the league anymore because they'll get exploited consistently. So but we like, you know, but football fans, we love those guys that come up and gonna smack somebody, you know, like the physicality part, like we still have that affinity for that. But there's not a lot of guys like that are just like in those specific roles, especially not in the secondary anymore. Like those guys are playing down their lines. They're basically like dime backers at this point, you know, they're going like, that's what they're doing now with those guys.
I'm with you. We're going to get to the next dance. Appreciate everybody. Over 200 people in the building. We appreciate y'all. Do us a favor. Double tap that screen. Hit the like button. Hit the sub button if you want to get included in the chat. We appreciate all. The subs, the members, everybody. We appreciate you guys. You got members. The Severe Raider on this side. I'm 805 Raider Real Talk, Raider Nation. Typically, we have our guy, Chris, Protect Show Podcast. Make sure you guys go over there and hit him up after we're done here. Some people still talking. Angelo, we got to keep our special teams together. Sign Carlson to a team-friendly long-term contract. Same with Bob and Moyer, DC. Done with Carlson. So we're all kind of going back and forth.
I don't know about Bob and Moyer. I know because ever since I found out he has that tail on the snap, and then we getting kicks blocked. You know, did he clean it up towards the end of the year? Yeah, but how many kicks did we get blocked this year?
And it didn't stop either. The tail was still there. Exactly. We showcased it. We broke down game film the very next game, and it was still there. So, but keeping the Carlson, you know, and obviously But, our kicking game has been in the past. Obviously Carlson has had struggled a little bit, but we've been one of the top kicking teams. Yeah. We can hang our hat on something over the last 20 years. We've had damn good kickers. That's about it.
Yeah. We had our punters. We've had a line of punters. From Leckler, even King, he was nice. Weird, but King was nice. He had a but in. We lucked into AJ Cole, the best player in our team currently. Like, we've had some punters.
Yeah. All right, Stone Forsyth. Okay, I know someone said keep him. We're getting rid of him. Okay, Stone Forsyth says get the hell out of here. I'm sorry. Okay, he's gone. John Radigan, he's going to be gone. Real quick, we kind of talked about this, but Devin White, leading tackler on the defense this year. Yeah. Chat, let me know what your thoughts on Devin White. Again, this entire linebacker room is going to be depleted. Let me know what your thoughts are on Devin White. Severe, I'll throw it to you first.
I wouldn't hate Devin White coming back in the right role. Obviously you want to keep him out of coverage as much as possible because he was getting destroyed in coverage. So, and for the right role, for the right price, I wouldn't mind Devin White coming back. And he's still relatively young too. You still see some. He's got some juice.
28.
Yeah, he still got some juice there too. You see the athleticism. You see, like, we didn't get hurt quite as much on QB runs because we have a guy out there that he'll chase you down. I think it was the first game of the season, like Drake May. Like, it was a say similar situation where normally, we see Max jump inside, quarterback breaks contain, and they're running for 10, 15 yards. We saw that day Devin White hawked him. I think he got maybe like a 3-4 yard gain. And in the past, like I said, it's been 3 times that. So I think there's a role for him, but a lot depends on the defense. What else we do in free agency, what kind of contract he demands. Like, there's a lot of factors that are determine whether or not he will be back, but I wouldn't hate it.
For myself, I think because I want Atlanta Roberts to stay, if I could pick 2, it'd be Atlanta Roberts over Devin White. But I think what's really difficult is as much as Devin White was just a ball hawk, right? I know a lot of his tackles came from because they picked him apart in the passing game. Though, I understand that, but he's still a quick sideline to sideline linebacker. I think what's really difficult is if we did bring him back, I'm not sure how excited I would be in a sense that I know, like, holy crap, they're going to pick us apart in the passing game again. They're going to pick on him. They're going to look his way 75% of the time, and he is such a liability. I mean, if he wasn't as bad in pass coverage, I would think, yeah, like, I'd be excited if we brought him back. But it's like he's been so exposed in the passing game that you could look and we break it down every game film. Every single offense goes his way. Every game, 75% of the passes just go his way. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, you could be so good. On the back end, you could stop the run, and then they just go after Devin White. It's just like, Jesus Christ. So I think even if we brought him back, I think the only reason why I wouldn't be excited because I'd be like, damn, like that's the hole in the defense that is just going to be exposed. And so I'd much rather see us go after like a young linebacker because our linebacker room is so just depleted. We don't have really anything to hang our hat on if we let all these linebackers go. Again, it's Eichenberg and Lindenberg. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's probably one of the we probably had the worst receiver room in the National Football League once Jacoby Myers left.
Yeah.
We probably have the worst linebacker room right now.
Yeah.
If these guys go. And so yeah.
Like, we've had, like, a lot of our rooms are just the worst. We probably had the worst running back room, despite what you might feel about Genty. Like, behind Genty, what do we have? Our receivers were terrible. Our guard room was god awful. Our safeties are our safeties. Don't even be starting our safety. Like, we're the worst. And just like, you go down the list. Linebackers,
we're picking number 1 for a reason.
Linebackers all old, and it's like, damn, we got converted safeties. Like, it was pitiful.
It's bad. So again, like, I think that's the only reason why I would not be as much as, again, he's sideline to sideline, and remember he's scared to kind of put his helmet into contact, which was wow. That's why he missed so many damn tackles.
Crazy. He has to wear a guarding cap. That has to be a stipulation of every contract, bro. You have to wear a Guardian cap. You have to wear a Guardian cap.
He has to. I mean, but we'll see. Raider saying good camp body. But I think what's going to happen is he is going because he was the leading tackler. And I don't know if he was the leading tackler. I think he was like the second leading tackler in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Like something like that. Like someone's going to pick him up. Someone's going to go after him, and I think they're going to pay him more than what I'd like for us to pay him.
Yeah. He's a future high first round draft pick too, so it's like he has that on him.
Yeah, so Raider, why are you saying Spytek already committed to Devin White?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you said that. I don't know if I missed something.
It's probably GM talk. You know, GMs will say stuff. It's like it can be a double meaning. Because I don't think I would hope that he wouldn't put himself in that kind of corner, you know, before deals are even being made.
Yeah. Wardlow, what are we doing, JPJ? Well, it's come to find. We'll see. We'll see what this offensive-minded head coach or offensive coordinator, if we go defensive-minded, we'll see what they want to do with JPJ. That kind of remains to be seen. Rosetown, you're saying get your linebackers in the draft. It's deep. There's a lot of linebackers. Yeah, a lot of people like Orval Reese, Jacob Rodriguez,
Texas Tech. Yeah.
Texas Tech, like that kid's legit. There's a lot of linebackers, and that's why I think if you keep one, I think that's good, but you definitely have to address it, whether it be free agency, the draft. That's got to be definitely a position group we address and prioritize. All right, Devin White, I think we're fine. Zamir White, he's gone. Alec Bachman, we're good.
I'm good.
Jordan Meredith. I know a lot of people. Obviously, the performance of Jordan Meredith was a big struggle this year. Yeah. But the entire offensive line, and you can make an argument that was it the offensive line as a whole regressing, or was it coaching? Because the reports coming out, Brendan Carroll, we now know that Brendan Carroll was not qualified for that goddamn position. The one thing that I do want to stress to people is that when you take somebody and you move them positions, it's extremely, and they've never played it before, it is extremely hard to be able to understand and execute that position properly. So Jordan Meredith ended the 2024 season as one of the better guards in the National Football League. Then you move him to center, and your footwork, your hand placement, your responsibility, everything changes. And if you talk to anybody that's played the offensive line position at a high level going into even the NFL, they will tell you changing positions takes more than a season to understand.
Yeah.
And Jordan Meredith never played it before. So if you put him back at guard, then the question is what type of player are you going to get? Are you going to get the 2024 Jordan Meredith that was good?
Yeah.
You know, or are you going to just get a player that regressed for some reason, right?
The moves, yeah.
So because I was a big Jordan Meredith fan, you guys know from last year, I'm not naming the guy that played for him last year in the beginning of the season. I'm never going to say that guy's name again. But I wanted Jordan Meredith to be the starter the beginning of last season, you know, based on what he showed in preseason. But in order to bring Jordan Meredith back, I got to know the run scheme, because Jordan Meredith, he works better in the zone run scheme. He's not very big, right? I think in the power run scheme, he's serviceable because his technique is extremely good as a guard. But I think we got to figure out what type of run scheme we are going to lean on. I think Genty can perform better in a power run scheme, which then I think it might hurt Jordan Meredith a little bit.
Yeah.
And so now if you bring in Jordan Meredith for depth, I think that's one hell of a depth piece. But you have to put him back at guard. So I'm going to look at the chat, but Severe, let me know what's your thoughts on Meredith.
I'm right there with you, man. I wouldn't mind bringing him back, you know, depending on what kind of system we're running. So I think he's another, like, you want people that have versatility. Obviously, the center experiment didn't really go that well, but he has experience there. And now I think it's a new year, you know, being able to take what he learned from this past season and off season, carry it forward. I think he's another guy that provides you some depth there. Obviously, he can provide you depth at guard, probably compete for a starting spot, depending on what we do in free agency and the draft. So I think when you have guys like I said, guys like Cam and Parham, they make the entire interior of the offensive line flexible. You have flexibility there, you have options there, and it gives you the ability, because not only do we think about what we have to carry on the 53, but game day is 48. So you have to worry about what you're carrying with the 48. So you need guys that can play those other spots. We can run into a situation like Cincinnati, where we had like 2 or 3 offensive linemen go down with ankle injuries in one game, right? Which reminds me, why is AJ Nibel and Deuce Gruden still like, bro? Get these people out of here. Get those dudes out of here. Get them out of here. But you can run into a situation like that where you have multiple guys go down, and then what are you doing, right? Then you're stuck. Yeah. So I think it's good to have those guys that have that kind of versatility. Jordan Meredith's proven he has that kind of versatility, so I wouldn't mind bringing him back and let him compete if nothing else.
Yeah, what up, Chewy, man? Guys, make sure you guys go show some support over at Chewy, man. He's got his own channel, man. Make sure you guys go check him out. Appreciate you popping in here, man. And I think maybe because I was a fan of Meredith before a lot of people were, I'm bitter about it that Brendan Carroll came in and just ruined this entire thing. And that's my opinion, right? I think Brendan Carroll just came in and just absolutely downgraded this entire offensive line. And as a whole, it wasn't like it was just one piece.
Yeah,
everybody looked bad, and maybe I'm just bitter about it. And so I'd love to see Meredith come back and give him another chance at guard, and potentially be just a backup role if that's his place. And then I did see it. I'm gonna go back up the chat, but I did see one comment that let's see. Pigspig said, "For what reason would some
go back again?"
You said for that reason, someone will offer Meredith a decent deal for that guard upside. Maybe we'll see. Which one did you click on?
That was LS's. They can't wait to never hear the name Brandon Carroll again.
Can't wait. I know.
It's hilarious.
Real quick, and I'm gonna go back, Mike Lopez. I see your comment. I'm gonna go back up to it.
Meredith depth piece.
Yeah, Meredith depth piece. Cool, Kev. You're saying Meredith is the white Illuminar. Illuminar's actually doing decent over with the Giants. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's probably a good comparison.
Exactly.
Rosetown Meredith for depth piece. Tien Jordan Meredith would be a good backup at guard and center.
He's gonna push whoever's in front of him. He's gonna 100%. Push whoever's in front of him.
Because I'll tell you, when we broke down game film all last year, I mean, he is he's one of the more technically sound guards I think I've seen, and that's why he came on my radar basically the preseason, not this year but last year, and I think it was the Cowboys game, and so we'll see. We got a couple more names left, but Mike Lopez, you're saying, what are your thoughts on Laulu? Do you see him having a breakout season this year? Also, your thoughts on Tonka. Severe, what's your thoughts on Laulu? Chat, let us know what your thoughts on Laulu is as well, because we got another name that we could talk about here on this list in just a second. What's your thoughts on Laulu?
Yes, another name. I like Laulu. Laulu. I like what I saw from. I think this guy was a 7th round pick last year, so like I think he's making some steady progress. You see his hand usage. You see the spin move. Like you see the progression where the spin move wasn't quite as tight and clean earlier in the year, and then down the stretch you saw him hit that same spin move again, much cleaner. Got that off arm involved to kind of pin the other guy's arm, and you saw the execution was there. So you see he takes the coaching well. Obviously has some nice traits there. So I think he's something to build on. And Tonka, when he got opportunities, man, he produced. And that's all you can ask for from a young guy. So, I mean, those are 2 interior guys that I think can provide you some, a little bit of juice in the pass rush game, potentially, that I would like to see the team continue to develop. The issue we will run into is that, do these guys fit the system of whoever the defensive coordinator will be the next go around, right? Because obviously, I think everybody's assuming Patrick Graham is going to be gone. So like, do they fit the next guy's scheme? And that's the issue you run into when you keep changing head coaches. They get new philosophies and they like different body types at different, positions on the football field because they provide different skill sets. So like, will the next coach value what they bring, or will they want guys that are bigger on the interior, like we don't know yet.
Yeah, JD's just saying Tonka's going to pass up Laulu this year. We're still, it's going to be interesting to see just kind of what we have out of Tonka. But Tonka was a 4th round.
Was he 4th round? I think so.
Because we didn't have a 5th.
We didn't have a 5th. No, I think he was a 4th round guy.
He was a 4th round. And so we'll see just kind of how he works out. Picks Laulu. Has always felt like a high upside guy that just has to keep developing. I actually 100% agree. Kevin Lurker, Meredith, and Laulu, yes. Parham, no. Raiders 209, you're saying give Laulu another year. Why not? We're still keeping Dalton. He's on the practice squad, but Dalton Wagner is surviving.
Oh my God, yeah.
Look, when we showcased last year the flashes that Laulu had in not this year but last year, right? There were flashes, and when he returned, obviously being a Las Vegas native, I think that it was a really good decision with bringing him back because the upside, the flashes that he showed, and then when the Christian Wilkins crap went down, now you have to basically look at the depth on our defensive line and go, who's the next guy that's going to step up? Yeah. And based on what we showcased last year, breaking down game film during the season, we went back and we watched some of Laulu and just kind of what he showed, and we felt like, look, this kid could be just a good piece to replace him because there was no one else we could get. Exactly. Obviously there's a name we're about to talk about, but with Laulu, he showed enough flashes last season that we're not too surprised at what we've seen this year. Yeah, he progressed, he developed, he actually did well, but we saw pieces of that last year. And I actually had some discussions with some guys that they're messaging me, and they're basically saying Booker is going to be better than Laulu. And I was like, nah. Look, we see Booker, and I know that the commentators, the broadcasters, people are hyping him up in preseason, and even some former players of the Eagles are like, he's a future Pro Bowler and all that stuff. And you're sitting there going, no, I think Laulu is going to be the one that's going to basically overtake, his spot. And they basically went 50-50 when it went to playing time, but Laulu, without question, showed the flashes well over Thomas Booker. And so I think Laulu, you basically, I think he's got another year on his contract. He's got one more year. I think he's going to flash. I think he's going to continue to do well. And to Severe's point, he's showing that ability to kind of have that second, third move in his bag, especially as a pass rusher. That you get that kid one more year, man. I think he's going to be able to show some things. If not like solidified starter, I think without question he's a damn good rotational piece to have in the building.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we got Kai Blue Kelly. Real quick, Severe thoughts on Kai Blue Kelly. Whether or not you want to bring him back. Chat, let me know.
No, not really. Not really. I mean, you think about it, he is young. I think he's a good athlete. I think he's physical in the run game, but just in coverage, it's just an adventure. I think he's a guy that
adventure is a good way to put it.
I think he'll be a guy that provides special team. Like if he's gonna make the team, he'd be strictly special teams.
Yep.
Strictly special teams. Where I think like a guy that has that kind of athleticism and that kind of speed and is a willing and physical tackler, they can make an impact. But I never do I want to see him on 12. I mean on 11 on the field. Never again. So that's the issue you run into. So like I wouldn't mind it as a special teams player, basically this core special teams guy. But if we're going to be part of like the cornerback rotation, you got to say the hell no to that.
Yeah, we got DCAM, we got Darian Porter. If we like Eric Stokes, you bring him back. Then basically, guess what? You address it in free agency, or better yet, address it in the draft again, right? When you start to see that third round, maybe there's a guy that you like that you can start to develop. Because then if you have Eric Stokes, if you bring Eric Stokes back, you have Darian Porter, our third round pick. You need to start to develop him. See what you got in him. And so I think Kai Blue is just he's on that list of all right. You go get yourself another team. That was a Pete Carroll guy that there's in my opinion, there's not much development to see there. I think we need to start developing other players and potentially get somebody else in. Again, maybe start looking in around the third round for a corner. So I think the overall consensus is that Kai Blue's got to go. Cool, Kev. I see you're saying Kai Blue is Jack Jones 2.0.
I think Jack Jones better.
I think
in
Jack
coverage.
I think they were both semi equally like scary out there because Jack Jones was just very, very undisciplined.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what really like that's why Jack Jones like if he jumped it and read it right, great.
Yeah,
but if he but then he wanted to jump everything.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think they were bad in their own different ways. Jack Jones was just so damn undisciplined. Where Kai Blue, I think he just wasn't good enough to keep up.
I think you could boil it down to this. I think Jack Jones trusted his instincts too much. And I don't think Kai Blue Kelly has any instincts.
Yeah, and Rose saying Parr's gonna be that guy, and Jason, you're basically saying Jones would bite on every double move, and you're 100% right. It's because he thought he could jump everything. He was waiting for that highlight reel moment.
Yeah,
and it hurt him every time. So I 100% agree.
But when you get him, it's addictive. When you get it, it's like, oh
god. Now, I think that's what was really tough because in the beginning of the season, if you kept Jack Jones and if Pete Carroll could have been the coach that everybody thought he could have been and develop a secondary and kind of tame that discipline, then Jack Jones could have been a guy because he's athletic as shit. Like he's one of the more athletic corners in National Football League.
Yes, super crazy athlete.
But you had to tame that discipline. But yeah, he's with Miami. So, all right, real quick, chat. Let me know what you think about this next guy. Good old Thomas Booker. Chad, let me know if you want to bring Thomas Booker back. Obviously, early in the season, in the offseason, we traded Jacorian Bennett for him. A lot of people were high on Thomas Booker. Obviously, a lot of the analysts, a lot of the broadcasters, stuff like that, former Eagles players. Let me know what your thoughts on Thomas Booker. Should we bring him back? Severe, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm good. I am good on Thomas Booker. I give those snaps to Tonka, give those snaps to Laulu, give those snaps to Pegues. I'm good on Thomas Booker. I mean, have we seen a pass rush move from Thomas Booker?
No, we have not seen a single pass rush
at
move.
all, right? Like, did we see one at all? Like, he's an obstacle, I guess. We
might have saw one. Actually, hold up. We might have saw one. It was like the second to last game. We might have saw one. That was it. But it wasn't much of a move.
Maybe late. Because early in it's like he's a guy who'll get in the way, who occupy space, I guess. But he's going to be there. Where his Thomas Booker going to be at. So if you try to run in his direction, he's gonna be right there for you. But he's going to. But we seen him get thrown at the club too, though. So we seen him get thrown at the club too. So I understand the move there because obviously the team didn't want Jacorian, and after the Christian Wilkins thing went down, we wanted to add some more depth, maybe a little bit more experience to the interior defensive line. So I understand it. But I think both teams lost that trade. Do we get the better out of it? I guess because Thomas Booker just played more. Yeah. But I don't think either guy's going to be back with those teams next year.
Yeah, unless Booker couldn't even give you a swim move if you push him off a boat.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, not really on Booker. We can get better in the draft and free agency. So Severe, I think you made a good point. We already have Laulu, and Laulu proved this year that he is going to compete for a starting position. Whether or not he is a starter will remain to be seen, but I think you need to give him the opportunity to compete, and I think that he will do just that. You got Tonka Hemingway. You got J.J. Pegues. You got to give these guys plenty of play, right? You got Adam Butler that's already there. I think we have plenty of game film that tells us exactly who Thomas Booker is. And he's at best a serviceable rotational piece at best. And he's probably a guy that you don't even want to see unless somebody gets hurt, in all honesty. We've seen him on the goal line where he gets removed. He gets removed out the hole. He's absolutely horrible against zone run schemes. He's too slow. He gets basically hooked right out the box. He allows offensive line to get position on him, and he's got zero pass rush. He's ineffective when it comes to the pass rush, and so he's a guy that you only want to see if somebody gets hurt, given the fact that Adam Butler, Laulu, JJ Pegues, and Tonka Hemingway. You got to see what these guys have. And I think between JJ Pegues and Tonka Hemingway, especially Tonka, I think Tonka showed enough this season where you need to start rotating him in. You got to see it.
Yes.
JJ Pegues, 6th-rounder. He's still got some work. We'll see what he has. Give him enough playing time in practice as well as preseason games and just kind of see what he has. But I do think we need to potentially look at another D tackle in the draft. Definitely look at in free agency because between Laulu, Tonka, Pegues, it's still not a solidified, bona fide starter.
No.
So you may still want to go get somebody. You know what I'm saying? But Booker is who Booker is. He's not good. And so I think for the most part we kind of move on from Thomas Booker. So I think the chat, for the most part, I think we're all on the same page. Could he be decent rotational? Okay. Definitely could possibly bring him in as rotational. JDs, we need a high draft D tackle. I don't know if I'd want to draft a tackle high, but again, I haven't done enough research to see just the quality of D tackles that are in this draft.
Yeah. There's a guy in the 2nd round. Dang, I forgot. Is he a TCU? Forgot. There's a guy. I'll get you his name, 805. I was looking at some guys. As a guy, I was like, okay, this guy is intriguing. It's like 320, but he has some nimble feet. There's some violence to him too. I'll get you his name. I'll shoot it to you. Yeah, he's an intriguing guy.
Yeah, let me know because we're gonna start breaking down the game film. And D tackle is definitely a need that we need to address. So we'll definitely be breaking down some game film on that. There's a guy from Florida that I like. I think I got some concerns with. He's 6'6", bro. Like he's massive. Might be even taller than that. But when you're that tall, you start playing upright quite a bit.
Yeah,
and that can kill you in the National Football League. And so, but man, he's a beast. Extremely athletic, which is wild. JJ Pegues is better short yards back than Ashton Jeanty. Don't get it started.
We'll never know. We will never know.
We'll never know. All right, so let's do this. Next one. Charles Snowden. Interesting name. Undrafted free agent. Got basically elevated when Malcolm Kuntz went down last season. So here's the big thing is we need some depth. David Dixon. Charles Snowden, guys. All right, just let me know what you think about Charles Snowden. What do you guys want to do with him? Do you want to see him potentially return? I'll go and give my response first because we don't know what we're going to do with Malcolm Kuntz and because we don't really have a lot of depth at all. Tyree Wilson is not depth on this goddamn roster. I'd like to see Charles Snowden come back. I really do. I think he showed that he could play the position at least a backup role without question for depth piece. Man, I'd like to see Charles Snowden come back, even in a 4-3 scheme, because you saw him kind of drop back. You saw him have to get depth in the defense as well. And so even in a 4-3 scheme, I think you can use Charles Snowden because you got to remember he's not a small human being. I think he's like. Is he 6'6", like 280, something like that? You can move him around in a 4-3 scheme, and so I think he's serviceable in both type of fronts. So, chat, let me know, Severe, what's your thoughts on Charles Snowden?
Yeah, he's right at the top of the list for me, guys. I would like to bring back. He's still relatively young too, pretty athletic. we saw, like he's a guy that like he provides depth at multiple spots. They moved him around a little bit. He's way better than Tyree. Is way better than Tyree Wilson.
So
Like, you
much
can save yourself a lot of money just cutting Tyree and putting Snowden out there. Like, so I think he's a guy I would like to see back. As you said, he's 6'6", 200 something pounds. He's athletic. I saw him running down some running backs. Like, I saw him in coverage a little bit. Don't want to really see that much. But, like he didn't look super uncomfortable doing it. It looked like he can move his feet a little bit. So I'd like to bring that guy back, and I think he's a guy that you can fit, as you alluded to, in multiple schemes. So he's the guy I would definitely like to bring back. And if he can find a spot on this roster, that'll be amazing, because I'm sure Cool Kev would say he cannot find a parking spot in that truck. So I would like for Charles Snowden to be back.
That's brutal. So I'm looking at the news because Damon, you're saying I heard Snowden got arrested again. I'm looking at news.
I hope not. If he got arrested again, he's done. It's a wrap.
All right. So the latest is 2 weeks ago. Judge accepts no contest plea deal for DUI. I think it's obviously from the previous the DUI from last season. So I'm hearing that. I'm not seeing anything on.
Yeah, it's probably that previous one getting adjudicated is what I would assume.
That's what I'm guessing. So, but look, I think without question, if we were to bring him back, the lack of depth that we currently have, Tyree Wilson just not being the guy at all, opposite of maxxcrosby, I think I'd love to see him back. It looks like everybody's kind of saying definitely rotational piece. Be good to kind of see him back in the building. And so Damien said, hopefully he didn't. I just heard. Okay. Yeah. I looked up the news. Doesn't look like that's necessarily the case, but we'll see.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. So yeah, hopefully.
LS Snowden was my pick at the start of the year for most improved. He's probably got my number one in terms of bringing back. He definitely balled out this season for an undrafted free agent. You know what I'm saying? That's massive to get that type of production out of him. What up, King Alexander? I see you. What's going on, man? TJ, who's in Mizzou? What's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking with us. And then Hits Boy, Will Putnam. We're not going to even talk about him. God damn it. Will Putnam, get the hell out of here. I was so pissed off. Like, I don't know if you remember, Sabir, like when I found out that Will Putnam made the 53-man roster.
Oh my goodness.
Who was the other guy that we actually we played? There was another guy that I think we had as an undrafted free agent this past offseason that I thought he should have made the 53-man roster.
Was it the offensive lineman?
Yeah. I'm blanking on his name, but
was it not the kid from Notre Dame, is it?
No. We got him as an undrafted free agent. He's on the depth chart. He got some playing time, and I'm sitting there going, look, like the kid looks like he like there's a couple of reps. So I'm sitting there going, this kid's feisty. Like he's going to want to get after you. And then you see Will Putnam, he's getting his ass handed to him. And I'm like, okay, Will Putnam should not make this 53. And then the 53 comes out.
And he made it.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, it's like that was probably, and there was two signs that our offensive line coach, Brendan Carroll, was going to be absolute trash, is you kept Will Putnam and you signed Stone Forsythe. Like those should have been the two indicators that we're going to have a rough offensive line room. And God, I'm blanking on his name. I'll probably find it. But I think we all can agree that I think Will Putnam needs to go. So, so that's kind of it. If anybody disagrees, Hits Boy, if you disagree, I'll bring it up.
That got to be Will Putnam himself.
Yeah, I know, right? God, it's gonna. Man, I'm blanking on the kid's name, but either way, Will Putnam should have never made this goddamn squad. So, all right, let's kind of go up to. We're gonna bring up the big screen. We just kind of went through the free agents again. Just keep some of those free agents in mind because you don't want to go into the draft with so many position needs. So if there's anybody serviceable, like I think a lot of us talked about, a lot of us kind of somewhat agreed Eric Stokes could be a name that we may want to bring back. A lot of people were kind of back and forth on Leonard Roberts. I think, but I think for the most part, if there are players that are serviceable that we can just sign for one more year, maybe we consider bringing them back. So we'll see how it works out. Appreciate everybody rocking. Do me a favor again, 200 over 200 in the building. Make sure you double tap that screen. You got the Severe Raider. I'm 805 Raider, Real Talk Raider Nation. After this, go hit up our guy Chris Protect Show podcast. He's usually with us. We hit you guys on Sundays and on Wednesdays. And during the season, we're going to break down some game film. But before we get out of here, we can't do it but without talking a little bit of national championship talk. So, Severe Man, chat, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think Illinois or Indiana is just going to walk away with this? Do you think Miami has a chance? What are your thoughts? Do you want Fernando Mendoza as that number 1 overall draft pick? Let me know in the chat. Severe, what's your thoughts of this game? Again, kind of going back to, do you think Miami has a chance? What are you kind of looking for? And do you have any expectations as it relates to Fernando Mendoza? Before that, Gerard Hufford. That was the guy. Gerard Hufford got some snaps in preseason. I'm sitting there going, hey, like it wasn't amazing, but it was a million times better than Will Putnam. And to find that Will Putnam made the squad, I was fucking pissed. But Gerard Hufford was the guy that I thought could have had a chance to make the squad. So, Severe, thoughts, man, on this game tomorrow?
Yeah, man. I just think Indiana's too good top to bottom. I think this will be a tougher game for them than they've had in the past. I think, Miami, we talk about Indiana being like an experienced team. Miami's also an experienced team. They also got Mario Cristobal, who's a guy that's been around the block. Carson Beck, obviously, has already won a national championship or been on a national championship team. And Malachi, I think Malachi Tony, that kid is crazy talented.
Is he? So I got to watch more of him because people have been talking about him.
He's a freshman too. He's he's kind of like remember how Ryan Williams burst onto the scene as a freshman and was just electric. Malachi Tony's a lot like that, where it's just and he's a big play waiting to happen. But like Indiana has they have one of their better corners is Pons. They got another corner that's probably going to be in the NFL and Moore. I forget his first name. So Indiana got guys. And then they got along the defensive line as well. They got a very strong defensive line. But Miami has a big, offensive line. Obviously, everybody knows about Maui Noah, but they got some other guys on that front as well. So I think it's going to be a good game, man. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Indiana's just too good. So I think they pull it out. I'm probably saying like 27-21 Indiana.
Okay. So a lot closer than the spread. I think the spread right now is like 8.5.
For Indiana.
I think Kevin Lurk's got Indiana by 10. Just when you're saying it'll be a game, Indiana got this, though. LS, I'm looking forward to seeing Ruben Bain Jr. against the Indiana line. I am too, because I've said this before. Like, the more and more I watch Ruben Bain, I'm not sold on him translating well to the NFL as it relates to a pure edge rusher. I think he's going to get stalemated by some athletic offensive tackles. His first 3 steps, and he does have a good second move. His first 3 steps are very impressive. His quickness into his second move is extremely good. But part of me just watching his game film, he's heavy footed. Like when I looked at him being 280 pounds, he looks all of 280 pounds. Like when he moves, straight line speed, he's like that fluid fast. Like if he's straight line speed, like he gets there quickly. Don't get me wrong. But all it takes is for a quarterback to go off their mark. If the quarterback shifts in the pocket, he ends up rounding things because he just doesn't have that. He's so heavy footed, he can't plant and change direction that quickly. You see him get to the quarterback, or at least a couple yards from the quarterback, and he ends up rounding things because I just don't think he's that athletic at top speed, which I think is going to hurt him in the NFL. But I also don't think he's going to be able to handle a lot of the athletic offensive tackles in the National Football League. So I think that's where I'm struggling with him. The other kid, Akeem Messidor.
Oh, for me, yeah.
The other edge rusher. I actually like him more than Bain. I got to do more research, but I actually like him.
Yeah.
He looks extremely athletic. And then when I went and looked, he's 280 as well, but looks more athletic than Bain. I was like, damn, this kid might be dangerous.
He was balling too. He was balling. Was it against Ohio State? No, it was the last game.
It was the last game, I think.
Yeah, he was. I was like, this kid's a monster.
Like, the more I watch Ruben Bain's game film, he pops out more to me. Like, he keeps catching my eye. Like, so again, to me, like, I just think that he's going to translate better because he's more athletic, even at the top of his pass rush. Because he can change. He looks like he changes directions just so much easier and more fluid than Bain does. And even trying to chase guys down, you could when Bain runs, he looks heavy footed. And so, I'm actually excited to see that kid, Akeem Messidor, just to see how he does in the national championship. A lot of people are saying Miami's defense is for real.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are saying that maybe Ohio State. How does Ohio State's defense match up to Miami's defense? Because I know a lot of people are saying Ohio State's defense is legit.
Ohio State's defense is legit, but Miami's defense, I think they're a little bit. They're bigger. I think they're more physical. I also think Ohio State, like, their best player on defense is Caleb Downs. Second best player is Arvell Reese. Arvell Reese in the NFL is going to be a pass rusher. They have him playing,
Linebacker.
Off ball linebacker, as well as what's the other kid? Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles Sonny Styles is a hell of a player too. There's another guy's playing off ball linebacker. So the best players are off ball linebackers. So it's like you don't really get a lot of impact out of off ball linebackers. So where Miami, like, their two best guys are Messidor and Bain. They're getting after you every single play damn near. So I think that's the difference.
Yeah, because I heard a lot of people saying that Ohio State was was going to be the contest for Mendoza. Now everybody's saying Miami's going to be the contest, and so, I'm thinking if Miami has a chance, and again, I'm not an expert on Miami at all, and I've watched enough of Indiana to get a good feel for who they are. It sounds like if Miami's going to have a chance to win this football game, they're going to have to run the ball extremely well. Kind of control the clock, keep that Indiana offense off the field. At the same time, of what I've heard of Indiana's defense, they're one of, if not the best tackling football team in the national in college football. I think they're like the second best tackling team. Yeah. Then, if that's the case, Miami, you better break some tackles. Like,
yeah. I was watching the guys talking about Indiana's defense. They're like, they run basically like a pro style, where they're like, they give you like 2, 3, like 4 different looks pre-snap. Like they can do a lot of camouflaging, do a lot of mugging, a lot of like simulated pressures, like stuff like that. Like, they do a lot of stuff that normal college kids, like you taking biology 101, like, you ain't studying like all these different but part of the reason they can do that is because they have such experienced guys that can learn these schemes and pick it up, and the communication is so like that's what they were saying, like that's what makes Indiana's defense so crazy, is that they can switch the looks up so often.
Yeah, and when you have players that have that much experience, when they're like 5th and 6th year seniors, and they've been around multiple systems, and I think a lot of these guys that are 5th and 6th year seniors, I wonder if there is an advantage. Don't quote me on this. I have no clue, but I'm kind of throwing it out there. I think Mendoza's already graduated, right?
He's already graduated. Yep.
So I wonder how many other guys have already graduated or are taking minimal classes, and so they actually have a lot more time to kind of dedicate to football in general.
Yep.
Look, I don't know if it's true. I'm just curious because them having so many 5th and 6th year seniors and being on average the oldest football team in college football, it's like, do they have more free time to dedicate to football? And they're just being that much more prepared going into each and every game. I don't know. Again, just a theory. But just when baby saying Miami definitely has a chance, there's going to be a little luck on their side, maybe. And it's going to be completely different. It's going to be a challenge because when you are the underdog, sometimes you need your opponent Indiana in this case to make mistakes. And the problem is Indiana doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And so I think overall it's going to be a very, very difficult game. I think the one thing I want to see Miami zone blitz, bring simulated pressures where Mendoza thinks an RPO is open or is going to be there, and you blitz a linebacker, you drop a D tackle, right? Like I want to see them basically zone blitz the crap out of him early, because if you can get him rattled early, I want to see how he works through that, because I don't think I've seen enough defenses kind of show blitz, drop out.
Yeah.
Right. I want to see him have to be the one to truly win the football game. I know he's had his flashes of doing it. Everybody kind of looks at the Penn State game and stuff like that. There are definitely examples of him doing it, but I want it to be basically throughout the entire game. This team, this offense does not run through Mendoza. It runs through the ground game.
Exactly.
You look at statistically, I mean, they rely heavily on the ground game, and that ground game gets going, and that opens up the RPOs. That opens up that simple back shoulder fade, because you get the one-on-ones in the back end of the defense.
Yeah.
And so I want to see a game that, again, I go back to the Michigan State game. The Michigan State game was probably the most complete game I've ever seen, or that I've seen all season out of Mendoza. I want to see a game where Mendoza,
like that,
it's on his shoulders. He's got to work out of structure. He's got to move off his point in the pocket, off platform throws. Like I want to see Miami bring it to where they kind of rattle him a little bit. And how does he work through that? Yeah. So, and again, not to say he hasn't done it before. Like the Ohio State game was a good example, but he worked himself through it. But there's just not too many examples to know is that who he is.
Yeah,
and that's the hard part.
Yeah, and the problem with the Ohio State game is that Ohio State, there was not a lot of pressure on him because Ohio State couldn't do much offensively. Yeah. So it just there was never a situation where it was like, okay, now it's all on Mendoza, or it was like they were still able to do Indiana things. You want to kind of see them get away from doing those normal Indiana things, and him like putting it on his shoulders and showcase it. Like it's big stage. So he's been great in these playoffs. Like he's been really great in these playoffs. But you kind of see, like I've never seen offensive linemen win the MVP of a bowl game. Like I've never seen that happen.
And people talk about even in that Michigan State game, though, as much as I believe that's the most complete game I saw out of him all season long, because he was forced to do a lot of things, they were still up on that game the entire way. Yeah. I think they were up. I think it was maybe 14 points at halftime, or maybe a little bit more. So it's like at no point in that game was he trailing. What was there pressure?
Yeah.
And again, it's just about, it's not going to be this easy in the NFL.
Yeah.
At any point, and it doesn't matter if you're Matthew Stafford and the Rams, like there's going to be so many points throughout the season where everything's going to rely on you. And unfortunately, for probably 95% of this season, nothing was really truly on Mendoza's shoulders outside of, like, again, got the Penn State game, right?
Yeah, moments in the game, yeah.
And so, man, I would love to see Miami kind of take it to him and just kind of put him in that. I mean, shit, it'd be amazing to see them down by like 10 points in the third quarter, just to kind of see what he can do with it. Because I don't know how many times he's kind of been in that position. And so
probably never, not this season at least.
Yeah. Alice Junkies 805 wants Mendoza to do a Michael Jackson moonwalk as well. Yes, I do. 100%. I want to see that. All right.
Let's see. If you do it in cleats. If you do it in cleats, bro, draft him first overall. If you do the moonwalk in cleats, first overall pick for sure.
Exactly. I want to see it first, second, third, and fourth quarter. All right. Even post game. So, LS, man, if you could bring one or Mendoza's teammates with him to the Raiders, is it Surratt or Coogan? Is Coogan the other receiver?
No, Cooper. It's Becker, Cooper, and Surratt.
Becker.
Coogan is offensive lineman.
Oh, I have not done research on their offensive line yet, but I will be doing research because obviously I've heard that offensive line is. I mean, Coogan's the offensive line. Got it. Okay. Obviously, that offensive line is doing work over there for them. Again, that offense moves through the ground game. Mendoza, the reason why Mendoza honestly is so comfortable because they protect the crap out of him, so he can play the game with ease throughout the entire game for the most part. So I don't know about Coogan, but that's Surratt kid.
I like Surratt.
I do
a lot.
There's a lot to like about the kid, and I know that probably one of the knocks that you're going to get out of him is like he probably won't run a great 40 time. But that's not always the most important. I think that Surratt kid, I got to watch more on him specifically, but he kind of gives me that feeling like he's a very good and sound route runner, which if you're a really good route runner and you understand positioning, that will make up for any 40 time.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I gotta look at more at the Coogan kid, but the Surratt kid, there's a lot to like without question. Severe, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Coogan's the guy that won he's the guy that won the award, that won the MVP.
He's a center. Okay.
Yeah, he's the guy that won the MVP for the game against Alabama. But I would say for Surratt, the thing that hurts Surratt is that we have Jack Bech here, and Surratt is a better Jack Bech basically. So it's like for this team, we need like a true wide receiver one. Can Surratt be that? I don't know if he'll ever be like a true wide receiver one at the NFL level. But he's a guy, man. He runs good routes, like understands body positioning, has really strong hands. Like I think he's a very quarterback friendly type of receiver. I don't know if he'll ever be a number one receiver though. Like that's the problem. And I think the Raiders, they need like a true, legit number one receiver in the NFL.
Which is so hard to like evaluate because you got guys like Cooper Kupp. You know what I'm saying? Like guys that don't blow away the 40 time and stuff like that, which it's so hard to kind of evaluate those guys that don't have the massive numbers that bring with them. But again, it's looking at going, man, like if you are a very good route runner, you understand spacing, you understand how to get positioning, you understand when I talk about route running, it's like you understand how to set up the corner, the safety, the defender that's on you to flip their hips and then you break, like those type of things. If you got that, you can find yourself a damn good career in the NFL.
And Surratt's a 0-star recruit. So when people are talking about stars or who has more stars and they start, he was a 0-star recruit.
Yeah. And
he's going to be a second-round pick most likely.
And I've heard a lot of people, and I'm glad you kind of bring that up, and this is going to be kind of like the last thing I'll say with all this is people are talking about how what Mendoza is doing with like the least amount of 4- and 5-star recruits.
Yeah.
And my thing is that I don't necessarily I can't say, look at what Mendoza's doing with these guys when you have an entire team with the least amount of 4- and 5-star recruits and they're playing at the level as an entire offensive unit that they are and defensive unit. That is like 80% coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Cignetti being able to turn these guys, the coaching staff, coach these guys up.
Yeah.
And turning them into a national championship football team. Like it's not about what Mendoza is doing. You'll give him some credit, but I give it the credit to the coaching staff being able to actually get these guys to that level of play, at least.
Yeah. I mean, because people want to have it both ways where they're like, oh, he doesn't have any 4- or 5-star recruits, so that makes him so good because he's doing it with lower star guys. Like Mendoza was a 3-star recruit. So are you telling me that Mendoza is not that good because he's not a 5-star? Like, so you can't have it both ways. Like people are, Joe Burrow, he had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Like according to ESPN, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson weren't 5-star recruits. Jamar Chase was a 4-star and Justin Jefferson was a 3-star. You know who was a 5-star on the team? Who's the guy we had? The guy that went to is it not DJ Chark? The other one, the guy that got, I think he went to Carolina as a 2nd-round pick. Dang, I always forget his name now. But we had him for a little while. But he was the 5-star. Jamar Chase was a 4-star according to ESPN. Justin Jefferson was a 3-star. So I mean, like the stars aren't the end all be all.
No, because I know a lot of people are kind of hanging their hat on the fact that Mendoza is doing this with the least amount of 4 and 5
Terrence
stars.
Marshall. There you go. Thank you. Terrence Marshall.
Yeah, got it. Perfect. So, look, it's going to be fun to watch. I think everybody, all the Raider fans, we are definitely eyes are going to be peeled on tomorrow's game, which is going to be fun to watch. Again, I just hope it's a really competitive game. I want to see Mendoza really work through the game itself. And man, it'd be great to see the game kind of rely on his shoulders and just kind of see how he navigates through that. Just another opportunity for him to kind of put that stamp on it. So on Wednesday, when we rock out, we'll talk more. Obviously, we'll see what the game ends up being, but we'll be hitting you guys up on Wednesday. So tap in with us on that. But before we get out of here, man, Severe, let everybody know what you got going on throughout the week, all your shows. Let everybody know what you got going on.
Man, you guys know what it is, man. The Severe Raider here on YouTube, IG, Snapchat, TikTok, X, everywhere. The Severe Raider. Obviously, Sundays and Wednesdays with my guy Chris from Protect the Shield and 805 Raider in the Raider War Room. Tuesdays and Thursdays with Pharaoh NFL. We got the 50-50 show and Around the Shield. You guys be on the lookout for tomorrow. Obviously, the big game is tomorrow, but the Raiders are interviewing Ajiro Evero, rather, for I think this is the second interview.
Yep.
If you recall, not if you recall, what happened earlier, I want to say earlier Sunday was the Falcons. They called in Kevin Stefanski for his second interview, left with a contract. So, could that be of importance? That remains to be seen. But, Ajiro Evero is a guy. I brought him up before we hired Antonio Pierce full time because he was getting some buzz around those times. And I've done.
Was that your sleeper, or you're kind of
my sleeper?
Gotcha.
My sleeper. The guy he started. First of all, his only experience in NFL was with us in 2004 in the offseason. But then he immediately went into coaching. He was with Tampa Bay. On that Tampa Bay coaching staff, he had Raheem Morris. I think it was John Gruden was there.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Gus Bradley was on that staff. Then he went to work for, I want to say he worked for the 49ers for a few years under Vic Fangio. Then he worked with the Rams. So he's been with some organizations. Obviously, then he went to the Broncos. He had the Broncos defense playing really well. Now he went to Carolina, has their defense playing really well. He's coached under some great defensive minds, and he's coached under some great offensive minds and with Harbaugh and with McVay. So I think he's a guy, if you're looking at a defensive guy, he's a young guy. He can be almost like what DeMeco Ryans was with the Texans, obviously without the professional experience that DeMeco had, but I think he can do a little bit of that for us.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting pick. I know unless he doesn't
want any defensive guy at all, basically.
But I'll be honest, that would be you've done more research on him than I have at this point. So, but it would definitely be kind of it would be a Raider move, with just the dysfunction we've had with coaches in the past. It's you bring in this guy that's necessarily, I don't want to say unproven, but definitely not the top guys on the list, at least the top names up there. That would be a pretty wild move. And I think that what that name would bring to the nation is it would be very hard to bring the fan base together and say, give this guy 3 years. Because there would be so much crap with people going back and forth going, I told you this wasn't the guy. I told you this wasn't the guy. And if we win 4 games next year, the I told you so's would come out.
Yeah.
Which understandably, because the track record and just the bigger names are out there.
Yeah.
But man, you want to talk about the nation battling? They wouldn't be patient with him.
He's my third ring guy. I got him above Kubiak right now. That's how much faith I have in him. I have him above Kubiak right now.
That's a lot of faith.
Because he's been defensive coordinator on 2 teams, 2 high-performing defenses that have taken their respective team to the playoffs. So I think he's like I said, he's coached under McVay. He's coached under Harbaugh.
How many years has he been in the league?
How many years he's been in the league? He's been coaching since 2006. I think he's been coaching.
Oh, really? So
he's been coaching for a while.
So he's kind of he's kind of like Sheila a little bit then.
He got a chance with us in 2004 to play professionally. Didn't make it. Didn't cut it. And he immediately went to coach on the Tampa Bay staff. under John Gruden. With, like I said, with Gus Bradley there. I think Rich Bisaccia was on that staff. Like I said, Paul Hackett, the other Hackett that he worked for, Nathaniel Hackett as well. So he's been around all of these guys, these like, you know, entrenched football minds, and they've been carrying and bringing him to different people. And obviously, Dave Canales is a guy who's he worked under Pete Carroll, and he has those ties to Gus Bradley too, because he worked with Pete Carroll in Seattle, and obviously Ajiro has those Gus Bradley ties from his time in Tampa Bay. He has ties to Vic Fangio. He's worked under Vic Fangio as well. Like I said, he's worked under some of the best defensive minds in all of football. And I think if we hire him, I think that young kid that people have been looking at, and this is where I kind of worry, because the Rams guy, what was this, Scalasi or Scalase or whatever? I think that's a guy that he may look at. The Rams passing game coordinator. That was at Iowa. That was at Iowa State.
Okay.
I think that may be a candidate for him at OC. But like I said, he has ties to a lot of different people, so it could be a lot of different names.
I mean, hey, I'll do more research on that guy. Oh yeah, Nate Shieldhouse.
Yeah, Shieldhouse. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll do more research on that name for sure. But man, if he's got that much experience, you know, that's it. Again, I think it's putting him up there in like the Chris Shula talk.
Yeah.
Because you go back and look at Chris Shula, his history, it's actually impressive just how much experience he has in the NFL. So, yeah, Shieldhouse. Appreciate you guys. All right. Hey, so we're going to get out of here, guys. We appreciate it. We got 218 in the building. We definitely appreciate everybody that's rocked out with us. Before you get out of here, do us a favor. Double tap that screen if you can. Hit that like button. I'm 805 Raider, Real Talk, Raider Nation. Got the Severe Raider. Also, go over to Chris Picture Podcast. Go hit him up. He's typically with us. But just know, during the season, we're going to do some mock drafts. We're going to wait for free agency to kind of roll out. But at the same time, we're going to break down some game film. So, what up, Jeff? What's going on, man? Guys, make sure you guys go head over to Jeff's channel. Show some support over there. Jeff, let everybody know if you're going to be going live tomorrow for the game. I think you mentioned that earlier. You might go live for tomorrow's game. Let everybody know if you are. They can tap in with you. So, but appreciate you guys. Hey, have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great start to your week. Enjoy the game tomorrow. All the eyes are going to be peeled on it for sure. And we're going to have a little bit of fun. So appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your evening. We're going to get out of here. We'll see you.